What's up, everybody? Welcome to the GameOverGreggy show. I am one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
It's good to be back, Greg.
It's good. We've missed you.
I missed you.
You missed Ramon.
I did.
You and Ramon have never been in the same room.
No.
It's upsetting.
Same person?
People were commenting on that. They were like, were you just wearing glasses the entire time?
Yeah.
And to which I replied, no, he's a lot taller and skinnier than
I loved all the ideas that it was just the love child between you and the pride of Long Island, Colin Moriarty.
Go Islanders.
That might exist. You know that, right, Colin? Like, we've had
don't
one
think
or
that's
two
physically impossible.
We've had one.
drunken nights.
Yeah, we've had a few trysts.
It's fine.
Trysts.
Yeah.
Trysts.
Oh, Colin.
Over there, the pure one, Tim Gettys.
Let him host.
And then, making his GameOverGreggy show debut, the one and only Adam Sessler.
The legendary.
Hello there. Oh, I got a hug. You guys are too kind.
No, thank you for coming.
Please, audience, forgive me. I hung out with my 3-year-old godson a few days ago, and they are diseased piñatas.
Yeah.
You squeeze them because they're cute, and then all the stuff comes out.
Lets the pollen out.
Which
I'm a
I
little
just
on the
did to
raspy
you.
side right
I
now.
just squeezed you, and you put the disease on all of us. Sorry, Colin.
It is what it is.
Your beard will protect you.
Yeah, probably not.
Adam, thank you so much for coming.
Oh, my pleasure.
I don't even know where to begin with your career in the video game industry. People, obviously, the G4s. You were out there. You were on the TV. You were on the TV doing all those shows. Everybody loved you there. Then you go over, you did this Rev 3 business.
Yep.
Now you're out there being a consultant.
Yep.
What's your latest project?
Oh, yes. I'm working with a company called Roto VR on a product called the Roto. More or less, it was designed to try to address some of the inherent problems we're currently seeing with VR. We're not trying to create goggles or anything like that, but the inception was mainly in the cord management.
Gotcha.
Because, especially with Oculus, you have to have that camera that has to be looking at your head, and you have a cord going from the Oculus to whatever is outputting the video. You can't do a full 360. Both because you're going to asphyxiate yourself on the cord, and secondly, if that camera isn't really seeing you, you're not able to get that full 360-degree image. So the chair that we have worked on, it allows for all the connections to come in at a stationary part of the base, so you can go full 360, and there's a table that you can put the camera on, so you're always getting the head tracking that you need. Two other things that have actually come as a result of that. One is so cool. It's an SDK that you can program, a developer can program it into the chair. So be it a film or be it a game, the game can take control and make you look at something. So kind of back when you were playing Gears and you're supposed to hold Y and suddenly the camera pans and you see the Burmac coming in. No, you're going to move, and you're going to see that Burmac coming in. Or imagine like what a Peter Jackson or J.J. Abrams could do with something like this to be in the middle of, a space battle.
When he's over here pitching this to me, this is when I thought Nick Scarpino's eyes would light up.
Yes.
Being inside Fast and the Furious.
Oh, my
and
God.
You're rotating around to see
No,
the car.
you know what's funny is my brain went to the movie Surrogate, which no one's probably ever seen. It's a Bruce Willis movie that kind of came and went. But they sit in these. They sit in these sort of that same sort of stasis chairs, and this is obviously different because this moves. But this just tripped my brain. I was like, how much is Adam Sessler going to be the guy that makes sure we never have to leave our houses again? Like, can I just go into my chair and I'll have a virtual reality surrogate that I'll just go out there and live life through them. We can have sex with whoever we want. Never gonna get an STD. No one ever gets pregnant unless you program it. Adam Sessler, buy the chair. Go support the on Kickstarter.
The outside world, it's scary. That's where all the threat is. It's far less threatening inside the house.
It's kind of dumb, actually, the outside world. When you think about
overrated.
it, it's stupid.
I mean,
There's bumblebees out there, too.
There's a lot of bumblebees.
You have to dress for it. It's easier to stub your toe. All those things. There's dog poop. We live in San Francisco. It's just dog poop bonanza out there.
It's not dog
It's
poop,
human
Adam.
poop out in San Francisco.
It depends, it depends on where you're at. If you're in Soma, or the Tenderloin, as we proved on the last gig we did, a lot of human poop.
Yeah.
They sit on little cardboard, like just cutouts, and then when they have to poop, they just dip their butt over the curb. And then they come right back to the cardboard cutout.
Actually, I used to have a drive to work that would take me down 6th Street, and I just saw the guy who just kind of dropped her out. And it was one of those trash cans that had the covering. So, I mean, there was actually a fair amount of skill to get through that.
Sure.
That's impressive.
Anyway, enjoy that image. So, the third aspect about the Roto that was unexpected and is a wonderful side effect is that because there's pedals so you can start to do some simulation of movement with your feet. But even without that, it allows you to do what you do naturally in movement. Your head goes first and your body then follows. And especially with a demo with Alien Isolation that we were showing out at EGX Res in London, that really seems to mitigate the nausea problem for most people. That you're moving in a way that seems natural. You're not moving, your head is kind of the left stick.
Sure.
And your head is also your head. And that can become
Right.
very, very disconnected. This seems to overcome that. And for most people, I wouldn't say all people, that nausea really, really went away. Cool. So we're in Kickstarter right now. We really just want to get kick-started. The R&D and all that stuff is done. We just need 85,000 pounds sterling to be able to get, they're called production tooling. So these are kind of the stainless steel molds, the things that we need to be able to make the components,
build the components,
to put this thing into production. So please. We are struggling as of now.
Kevin,
so I ask
put the
all
link
the
there. The
Kind of
Kickstarter
Funny
Roto
people.
link there. All of the Kind of Funny family.
And with that out of the way, I am at your disposal.
You made it sound dirty. Like you're like, oh come on, but I gotta talk about Roto. And if we could fit in a human shitting story, that'd be great. Too.
Yeah, I was once on The View, and it was.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Shut up. How'd that go?
It was terrifying. Actually, my favorite part is the producer on The View said, look, they're not going to know what you're talking about, and I know this is really unorthodox, but you know television. Can we give you all the cues?
Nice.
And I was
really?
like, yeah.
That's awesome.
And he was like, Joy's going to be just fine. Meredith, she's going to be really, really, really nice. And he goes, and Star Jones? Well... And I'm like, what's going to happen with Star Jones?
What's happening?
And my trick was, I was
I'm
just
a
going to
lawyer. I don't like video games.
I just kept talking in the hopes that I would never let her get a word in.
Nice.
Anyway, Jerry Lewis was ahead of me. And I was like in the green room. I thought I was going to puke.
Right.
I was just getting really nervous because like there was some R&B star with his entourage. Jerry Lewis came in with like an oxygen tank and his entourage, and I had my brother in his fleece.
That's nice.
And I was like, what's going to happen? I shouldn't be doing this. And Jerry Lewis is there.
What were you coming on to talk about?
It was like ESRB ratings.
Oh, okay.
Like, explain that. I mean, I have no idea why they reached out.
Sure.
I think they were
You're
like,
like,
we
oh,
got
come
5 minutes. Let's do video.
I always love that when they do that. Like, because you've done those before. You guys have both done this before. The little hits where you'll go on like a news network or something like that. Obviously, this is a much bigger deal. But I always love it when the mainstream population's like, oh, we should talk about those video game things. Yeah. Cricket. Let's bring in someone who knows what the fuck they're talking about. And it's always fascinating because then you come on and you know what you're talking about, and they just
have no idea
blank
what's
stares.
happening.
Well, that was great, Adam. Thanks so much.
Well, that's the thing.
Next
is
up,
that
dancing dogs.
Jerry Lewis preceded me, and he was pitching some type of medication that he was on. And it just had all different types of, is this right? And everyone was like really cool with that. But I come on and I talk about video games, and it's like,
That make people kill each other. They make people kill.
But I've done one of those rounds where you have to, you're just doing radio hits,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
doing TV hits. It was around Christmas time. And I don't know who was booking me at Tech TV. I think they were just trying to fill out a list so they could show it to their boss. At 4 o'clock in the morning, I am calling the official Christmas station of the Ohio River Valley.
Yes, you were.
And someone who, I'm just going to call him Methuselah, because he sounded that old. And I'm supposed to talk video games with this guy. And it pretty much was like, video games. Those are really violent, aren't they? I'm like, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm on the official radio station of the Ohio River Valley. Who's like, I got to check out this Tech TV.
I gotta know.
That guy really sold me. I gotta go. I gotta call my cable provider out here in Lake Erie.
I always loved the ones where like, yeah, we need you to come on and talk about whatever the new PlayStation game. All right, and then literally it was 2 questions about that, and then it was immediately like, and what about this Wii U? And you're like, it's happening. It's Nintendo. You're like, all right, well, what's happening with Xbox? Like, all right, well, this isn't what I was prepped for. I can talk about whatever, I guess. Here you go.
Yeah, well, they're all the same, right? All
Yeah,
games.
exactly. All the
games
boxes.
and
No,
all
what
boxes.
happens is there's a producer who went on Google and typed in video games.
Common ass
stories.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, this is the Game Over Greggy show. The idea is simple. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table. Each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, the entire show posts early over on patreon.com/kindoffunny each and every Friday. But if you don't want to give us any money, that's no big deal. You can go to youtube.com/kindoffunny and get it broken out topic by topic, day by day, until we post the entire thing as an MP3 and video the following Friday. Everywhere. Services around
The world.
The globe.
But this one's worth $1.
This one's worth $1. Just because of Adam?
100%.
Buy that for $1.
Yeah.
I made a RoboCop reference.
Thank you. Thank you. What'd you think?
No, go. No, you're going to
I was
ask
going
him?
to say, what'd you think of the new RoboCop?
I haven't brought myself to see it.
Don't.
I mean, look, it's not even rated R, right?
No.
I mean, I remember as a kid.
Well, I think it was rated R.
Was it?
Was it?
I thought that was a big deal. They don't make it rated R movies
The
anymore.
original RoboCop, they had to cut it down because it actually
It was
got
almost
an X
NC-17.
rated.
Yeah, it was almost X. That's right.
And it's that Paul Verhoeven thing that when he's not in the business of just hating women, what was it? Hollow Man? Oh god, that movie is so bad.
Yeah.
But
Kevin Bacon.
his funny relationship to violence is so fascinating, and that one just epitomizes it. Where it's like, no, you're not. Like the scene where the robot is like just shooting the guy over and over again.
Yeah.
That is the Simpsons joke before the Simpsons joke existed, which is you do it, it's kind of funny. Then it's not funny. Then it's really, really funny. And it's just horrific.
Yeah,
and nightmarish in the way
had
it's
a
executed.
very his finger on the pulse for satire as far as that was concerned, and using violence to sort of get that line across. But I heard you talking this morning on Colin and Greg live about the Road Warrior and Mad Max as something you're enthusiastic about. So I assume we share a love of 80s films, all things 80s, which I'm sure we'll unpack on this podcast at some points. I don't know when.
So. I'm a big reference on when it comes to the 80s.
Good.
Before we get to the number one topic, did you see the MyRobocopRemake.com? That video where all these different web creators put together, they reshot RoboCop shot for shot, but then people had different scenes to do, and then they did it.
I gotta see
crazy.
that.
They did it before with something else. What was the first
Star
one?
Wars.
Star Wars.
But this RoboCop was best because it shoots off like 30 dicks at one part.
Yeah.
That one part is the best. Yeah.
I remember you showing me that actually, and I was like, I don't really want to watch this.
There's so many dicks.
We were on the back. We were back of an Uber, and after the 10 dick got blown off, I was like, I don't really want to watch it.
He just turned to Colin. Colin's like, I don't want to see. He's turned to Greg. He's beat red. He's laughing so hard.
I couldn't
hear him.
That was the best, man. We gotta watch that before
We should watch that.
Topic number one. It comes from Patreon.com, where Kenny Char backed us.
Kenny Char.
Thank you, Kenny Char.
Thanks, Kenny
he
Char.
says, "What are your best and worst video game memories?" I thought I've been sitting on this gem for a while. Now that we have the illustrious Adam Sessler here, we're gonna address this S and figure it out. Do I owe someone a nickel for saying that?
Not me.
So your best and worst video game memories. Everybody gets to stew on it for a second.
Okay.
I always come back to, I really wanted Royal Rumble on the Sega Genesis. And I remember I finally got on a Christmas morning and I opened it up and I was so excited. And then I put it down and I went to open other stuff and then my cat threw up on it. But now remember, the Genesis cases were hard plastic. Everything's fine. And they had that laminated top, you know what I mean? So I just rinsed off the puke. And I was like, this is why they laminate them. My mom said, I don't think that's why they laminate them. But it worked in the end. It saved the
I would
Royal
have guessed
Rumble.
maybe like coffee or soda spills, but cat puke.
Cat puke.
Hey, man.
Same general
I mean,
consistency.
it was actual puke. It wasn't like a hairball. That
Oh,
tends
no.
to be a little
no,
bit
you know how
liquid
cats
list.
are where they
just went.
they just vomit in no reason.
Like oatmeal.
Bunch of weirdos. Yeah.
And it just...
It's like that wet cat. It's the dry cat food they ate.
My
That's wet and
my
bad.
assumption about that though is that even if the cat threw up on the Genesis cartridge on the chip, that if you dried it off, it would have still worked fine anyway.
I would have cried a lot though. That would be like when I took my Superman action figure into the bathtub and his S washed
Put it in the back of your mind.
I'm remembering.
Okay.
That's
Because
terrible.
this is all going to be the 3-part
Yeah,
documentary series.
to catch
that
Adam
Who is
up, Greg
Miller.
is full of such significant psychoses that Nick and I, and Tim will obviously come, Kevin will come, everyone's going to do it. We're going to go to Illinois one day and do a documentary, a Ken Burns-style documentary on Greg Miller's childhood. Because it is full of
Psychoses or neuroses?
neuroses, I guess it would be. Well, actually, no, psychoses would be both.
Because there are some things that he's done that I'm like, that goes beyond just a normal neurosis.
Because-
like, that's psychotic. You're going into psychotic.
Because typically, my girlfriend is a doctor, a psychologist, and she often corrects me when I use words like schizophrenia wrong. When I'm like, you're being schizophrenic, she's like, that's not what that means. And I was telling her about this, and I used the word psychosis, and she did not correct me, which means she thinks Greg has deep psychoses,
Yeah.
not neuroses.
I guess that doesn't imply you're psychotic. You're just
have problems.
psychological.
You just have a lot of
Yeah, some
problems.
psychological issues.
Just a lot of
Who
problems.
hasn't peed in a Dixie cup and thrown it behind their dresser?
But on that note, I mean,
hasn't
I've done
vomited
this
in
to
their
my
friend's
wife,
fish
'cause
tank?
I grew up here in the Bay Area, and so we'll go somewhere in the East Bay, especially when I was like, and I'll tell her a story that was attached to that, and she slowly starts to piece together why, I like to stay indoors,
Stay away from places like Berkeley
and that
and
certain
Oakland.
things, will get me really, really anxious.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
think you should do that for Greg, and I may consider.
I
doing
think
that
I'm worried
myself.
it'll be more boring than you think.
I don't think so.
You've heard most of the stories. We once lost Wonder Woman's lasso in the backyard. We had to have people come over and look for it. Couldn't find it. And then
Man,
I
you
just
are
ran out.
something else, dude. I can't wait to do this. I'm fucking, I'm dead serious about this. I'm willing to shut down Kind of Funny for 2 months just to go film this.
Oh, I mean, I think we could take longer, honestly. I think there's a lot of people, at least some of the core supporters of our show, that would 100% back this. Maybe not with money or like outwardly, but emotionally they would.
Yeah,
want us to go
Well, we need a lot of emotional support to go into these stories, man. Because I don't know what the hell we're gonna find.
I was gonna say, are you ready to be fundamentally changed by this?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I'm eager to be fundamentally changed.
Right now, we're Arnold Schwarzenegger at the beginning of Predator. After this, we're gonna be Arnold Schwarzenegger at the end of Predator.
Yeah, that's fair.
So you're gonna be on a helicopter.
Yeah, all covered in soot.
Contemplative on a helicopter.
Like that. By the way, his best piece of acting, that one moment ever.
It was pretty good.
He was like, and he kind of like looked over, and you're like, "Fuck, I felt that."
Okay, at the beginning of Running Man, when he goes, "No, those are innocent women and children down there."
That was.
I really like that.
That was
because it's like, yeah.
So
I mean, he's the good guy.
I made a good rule of thumb is never watch anything with your wife, just in general, especially things that you love from your childhood.
Marriage tips.
Here's why. I love nerd shit. I love anything that you can consider nerdy, dorky, whatever. 80s, doesn't matter. The crazier sci-fi, the better. I love Running Man. I have a deep love for everything Schwarzenegger did the 80s. I remember Running Man way more fondly than my wife would let me. And so I was like, let's watch Running Man together. And about 15 minutes into it, she's like, this is bad, right? And I'm like, fuck, this is bad. But I didn't realize it until you see it with that light.
Part of the problem is I wish we could go back and do, especially the Schwarzenegger movies, because in terms of concept, they beat the Stallone movies hands down.
Hands down.
But you add in contemporary camera work that really shifted so much, like in the early 90s after John Woo suddenly said, hey, hold on, we can make this really visceral.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Rather than these RoboCop remakes, it's like, no, let's actually see if we can redo that and give it the same kind of drama, because it's the way they're shot.
Well, you see them,
they're just so crude and rudimentary.
You can see, and you see a divide, right? You see the divide between Commando and Predator when you get John McTiernan to direct a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's like legit an amazing film from start to finish, and he even makes Arnold Schwarzenegger look like a good actor, which is how a testament to his filmmaking. But then you see that versus like Running Man, and it's like Running Man's like paint by numbers. It's like here we are here. Now we're here. He killed him. Kissed the girl. We're done.
And then Commando,
my wife started watching.
Almost all of it takes place in the land of cardboard houses.
Dude, I love
when things
that.
Explode, it's like, who built that in the first place?
Why are there so many goddamn statues around here?
Tim, what's a good video game memory?
I mean, I've said this before in the show, but the moment that I realized that Super Mario World 2 had more than one world, when I beat the boss in level 1 to 8. And then I realized, oh shit, there's world 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 that I haven't even got to. That blew my mind. And I was just like, man, there's goodness in the world. So that was my best memory. Worst memory? Probably when my Smash Bros. Melee save file got deleted by my friend because he's an idiot and didn't know what he was doing.
Kevin.
No, not Kevin.
Kieran.
Not Curran.
Kieran
Vincent
Culkin.
Wong, who's he's a punk ass bitch.
Damn, Vincent Wong.
Yeah, deleted my save file. We had to spend all night trying to get all the characters unlocked.
That's
again.
the worst one. There's a rogue deletion that it wasn't your fault. That PS1 Jedi game we were talking about, Poe overwrote my save. I lost all my
Jedi Power Battles?
I was hurt. That hurt.
That hurts.
The other big one I remember too is the one where I got so mad at my desk at IGN that I slammed on it as hard as I could, that then made Ryan Clement's game skip in a final boss battle, and he had to go back and do it. It was like a chain reaction of destruction.
Messed up.
Because my X-Men Wolverine Origins save got eaten, and I was gonna platinum that game.
Oh,
I was
by
so
Raven.
close. Yeah, by Raven. Yeah, and I went, God damn it, and slammed it down, and it skipped Clement's boss battle. He got back to me.
He's the last person that would be mad at you for that too.
He was on the edge. He was on the edge of anger.
I mean, that's almost like in Thinner, the way that you pass on the curse by giving people the evil pie.
Damn right.
Exactly like that.
Exactly like
that.
I think another one of my worst things actually happened
Where's
recently.
your brain go when it makes those connections?
Thinner's a great movie.
Nick, stop interrupting.
Another one of the worst things is so my Pokemon Blue file. I captured all the Pokemon. I had my team that was very near and dear to my heart. And then there was Pokemon Gold and Silver that came out. I traded them so my new game would have all my old Pokemon. And now, a decade or more later, we've been doing these Let's Plays. Last week, I was like, oh shit, Pokemon Blue, my save file's still here. But then I realized my Pokemon aren't. They're in Gold and Silver.
Oh, they move on.
Then I tried loading up Gold and Silver. Batteries are dead in those games. Save file's gone. My Pokemon are gone forever.
Your Pokemons are dead.
Oh, that sucks. I'm sorry.
It really hurts, man.
Or maybe they're in some kind of limbo gray area.
That's probably where they are.
Like the other side of Poltergeist 2.
Yes.
This is my favorite podcast. I always make these stupid references. No one understands that. I'm gonna conference you in next time we do a podcast.
Did the new Poltergeist come out yet?
No, summer.
No.
And
The lighthearted
It
Poltergeist.
looks so bad.
I haven't even seen the trailer, honestly.
It
People
looks
have been asking me, like, what do you think of the trailer?
bad.
I'm not going to watch it.
That was originally what they were saying, was that it's a more lighthearted kids movie, but then the trailer didn't make it.
It
It seems like
definitely
it
does
almost
not
seems like a
seem-
shot-for-shot remake of the original one from what we were seeing in the.
Well,
in the
what's
trailer.
funny, the original Poltergeist was actually fairly lighthearted. They have those scenes like in the middle where they're like the family and stuff.
Glorious for that.
Yeah.
Because it had Spielberg's name attached, and people were taking their families right after E.T.
Yeah.
People were taking their
Fun for
families, and no one
everyone.
noticed the guy that directed Texas Chainsaw Massacre directed this one. Right. It's just people were furious.
And yeah, and weren't the parents like huge potheads and stuff like that, and like they
Yeah.
it's like all sorts of weird adult shit in
Yeah.
that movie.
I don't know if they were huge potheads.
Yeah, they were. They
enjoyed marijuana.
Yeah, I was gonna say there was multiple scenes with them like smoking weed in their room, right? And then,
Sure,
like,
but it wasn't like they were ignoring the kids. Hey man,
Hey,
how many
man.
fingers
well,
I
they
got?
ignored him enough that they let the tree take her, put her in the television. I mean,
and they were just like, "Whoa, that tree's taking my daughter."
I'm tripping balls right now.
oh, one day I'm going to be on a show called Coach.
Oh, Coach is so good, though.
Coach is
It's a
good.
great career he had.
Screaming Eagles.
What the hell are we talking about?
Video games. Best
Oh,
and
right.
worst memories from
Colin,
Kenny
what
Char.
are your best and worst memories?
A few memories came to mind.
Char.
One of them Tim kind of touched on is that moment when you realize the batteries in all your NES games are dead. I was in college and I went to play Final Fantasy 1 and played it for a few hours and then shut it off, and then went back after class and the save was dead. And I was like, fuck, what, and then you realize like, wow, when Nintendo was offering back in the day to replace your batteries, all you had to do is send them your games and they would replace your batteries for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really took advantage of that before. And then I was looking at all my role-playing games and realizing like, wow, I can't play any of these anymore.
Yeah, sucks.
And yeah, so they were all dead. And it brought me back to the NES days that, and a lot of people don't remember this or didn't live in these days. When you played a game with a battery in it on NES, you had to hold the reset button in before you shut it off or you would lose your save. And everyone learned the hard way that they were not kidding about that. And I don't know like what it is
Did
specifically.
it tell you on screen stuff? As a Sega Master System kid, I am unaware.
I think I might have said it in the instruction manual or whatever, but it wouldn't happen every time. But like when you play Dragon Warrior or whatever, Zelda, like you hold the reset button in and then hit the power button, and that would make sure that the save wasn't erased from your cartridge.
Interesting.
And so people, learn the hard way on that. But I remember...
I had no idea that those cartridges had batteries.
Yeah.
That's a thing?
Yeah. That's how they saved games.
So...
But a lot of them didn't save games.
Yeah.
I mean, remember, I think it was Metroid, you had to put in the code.
Yeah, but the Famicom version of Metroid did have a battery in it. They started removing components to make the games cheaper to manufacture. But if you had a game like, let's see, like... Well, Castlevania 2 had a password system, Castlevania 3 did. But yeah, Dragon Warrior 1 through 4, Final Fantasy, the original Zelda had a battery, Zelda 2 had a battery. So like and that was a way for the game to save your file.
So it had a physical battery, like a quartz battery, like a watch battery,
watch
battery that was in that, and it needed to power the RAM.
It powered something in order to save the game, and these things lasted forever. I know some people have NES games that still work, but it was only when I got to college that I realized that my games were not saving anymore.
That's a trip. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, and sometimes so I was doing experiments with Final Fantasy, the original one, in college, where I would shut it off for like 2 minutes and then turn it back on, and the save would still be there. But you'd like shut it off and then go back an hour later, and the save was gone. Like it was like there was like all sorts of weird things. So I ended up actually keeping my NES on for days. And this brings me back.
That was great for the system.
Yeah, well, it doesn't, because this brings me back to a Super Nintendo story. My parents got divorced when I was like really young, and so my dad was dating this woman in the early 90s, and she had kids, and so they'd come over and play or whatever. And I was playing Link to the Past, and I'd already played the game like a bunch of times, but I was in the middle of playing it again, and I don't think I ever saved the game or whatever the hell happened. And I just left the Super Nintendo on in my room and then went to play with my friends, play like wiffle ball or something or hockey. And then I came back like a few hours later, and the woman's son was on my Super Nintendo playing like Super Punch Out or something like that, and I lost my fucking mind. I lost my mind on this kid. And there was like really no reason to do it because I had beaten this game before, and I was just playing
it's
it
your
for
shit. Don't touch
yeah, and
that shit.
I remember like losing it on this person.
Is that what ended the relationship between your dad and this girl?
I don't remember what. No, that wasn't it. But they weren't. I was like, I remember being like, I was only like 8 maybe or 9. I was like, why are you in my room? Like, why are you touching my Super Nintendo? Like, this isn't yours. Like, get the hell out of my room, kind of thing.
What
and
did he say?
I think I made him cry. Actually,
He's like, Mom told me to come in here.
yeah, and I'm like, don't like. There's another game on. What the fuck's wrong with you? You know what I mean? And they call a 9-year-old kind of thing. But that story.
I imagine it's just higher pitched.
that story kind of comes up every once in a while. Still.
What the fuck's wrong with you?
I see it kind of like a mammoth play. It's like, do you know how to deal with men? No, you're nothing. You're white bread. You're nothing, 9-year-old kid. Jesus. Yeah.
Your dad's holding you back. The girlfriend's crying. And he's like, why would you? No, he's clearly was playing Link to the Past. What the hell?
But the best moment for me, I get excited when games get announced every so often. Like I love video games, obviously, but I don't get like the stoked like fuck yeah kind of thing. I'm like, oh, I'm excited. I'm going to wait the 12 months until I actually play the game. I'm too excited about it. But when Mega Man 9 was announced, I remember I lost my fucking mind.
Yeah.
And at IGN, like I lost it. I was like, I can't. 9 was the epitome of everything that I ever wanted that I thought would never happen ever again. Because the classic Mega Man series, everyone out there knows, is my favorite shit. Mega Man 3 is my favorite game of all time. I know that game inside and out.
You were talking about this on the Mega Man live stream.
Right, exactly. And that's why I'm really good at the games, and that's why I play them. I really love them. And after 6 came, we had 7, which was, and 8, which was, fine. But
it's funny.
I wanted them to go back and make an 8-bit game, and that always to me was like just an idea that only I had.
Yeah.
That like no one would ever do. And then they made fucking 2 of them. You know what I mean? In 2 years.
Twice.
Yeah, but I remember being at IGN. I was only at IGN for like a year at this time when it was announced in early 2008. And I remember like losing it. Like I couldn't believe. I thought it was a joke. I couldn't believe it.
That's how I felt when that Game Informer came and on the cover was just the Ghostbusters logo on a black background. I was like, holy fucking shit.
And then it ended up being...
Yeah.
And then it ended up being an 8. A great game. 8 out of 10. IGN.com.
So those are my memories.
Adam, what about you?
Well, okay. Kind of 2 favorite memories. The modern favorite memory is reviewing Uncharted 2. And I woke up on Saturday morning. This is when it came out with my term, if it's an underwear game. Like, I've been playing it the day before on a Friday.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, God, I love this. And I woke up. I probably was 6 a.m. And I tiptoed over my wife. And I did everything in my power to secure as much quiet as possible so I could have this uninterrupted stretch because I just wanted to play this game again. And that moment was, it's kind of like all the Jeeps going up the hill.
Oh, sure.
And I screwed up probably 5 or 6 or 7 times over because I was waiting for a QuickTime event to move over to the next car.
Right.
Because that's the only way you have ever seen something like that happen in a game.
This is too beautiful.
And then I just kind of hit a button. I was like, I just jumped. And then I realized I had free movement between the cars. And like, my Raiders of the Lost Ark fantasy just happened.
Yeah, it just happened.
Right there in front of me. And I'm a grown man. I'm like, oh. And I'm like, I'm just going to go back 2 chapters. I need to experience this, in the actual flow of the experience. But my youthful memory was, I think I was the first kid in my class to get an NES. And I got Super Mario with it. That's why I wanted it. And I had some friends over maybe a few days later. They're having a sleepover, probably about 11 at this point. And I kept on noticing when you go to World 1-2, and if you hit, if you're jumping around, you can hit that one brick of the top layer of bricks, and a 1-up mushroom comes. You can see the little bottom of it. And I'm like, uh-huh. So then we start going, dicking around. I'm like, well, can we break through the brick and go up there? And we keep on going. Then we find the warp zone. And it was already just so exciting to just have a game that, as a highly structured platformer, that I could actually play this in my own home. And the fact that now I was aware of the fact that there are secrets and things that are hidden somewhere in it, it was just like brain cannot process. And of course, we're being 11. We're like, maybe no one else knows about this.
We ever told the world.
And maybe entities will hunt us down for this knowledge. We need to go on the lam.
FBI show.
On the flip side, I've talked about this before, but really, my worst video game memory is probably 2 years later with the NES, playing Ghosts and Goblins, which I loved, and working on it so hard with my brother, and doing that thing where we're pausing it and trying to put it in the corner so Mom doesn't see it and turn it off, where we lose all of our progress in this game. We're working. It is so that game. I did not know how hard it was.
That game is very hard.
You think that this is how it's supposed
That's
to be.
video games. That's what it is.
If you want insight into my
putting the work
neuroses, when I'm not doing well at a game, I assume it's me. I rarely blame the game because I'm aware of all of my failings, and those just seem to be probably better than the ones in zeros being at fault.
So every game to you is just equal. It's created equal. And
Exactly.
And if one's harder than the other, you're just having a harder day. I can't think very well right now.
And finally, we got to the end.
Oh,
We got that final boss battle. And, the trick is you also have to preserve that dagger. So you're jumping over the lance. You're jumping over the fireball. Because if you get the wrong weapon, you're just screwed in that game. I'm at the final boss, and I have the dagger, so I can go really fast. And we do it. And my brother and I are, stoked beyond belief. And there, on the screen, it says, nope, that's not the real demon or devil or what it is. You need to do it all over again.
Yeah, that's the best. I love it.
I mean, I think this is where me and my younger brother both understood that the adult world would be a series of unfair instances that you could never find, recourse from. But I think he just saw the existential terror of that and broke down in tears.
Yeah.
And I think that's just when I went dead inside and just realized it's not worth the effort ever again. And that's my memory of Ghosts and Goblins.
And that was the last time you ever finished a video game.
Why did so many NES games do that?
Well, some games flipped, but that game specifically, you had to beat it twice. So like
it's impossible to beat it once.
Like, so it wasn't like a flipping game like Kung Fu or something like that, where it would just flip over and over again the same 5 stages.
Well, I mean, things
but
like Mario does the same thing.
Yeah, but Mario does end. I mean, that is there is a real ending to Ghosts and Goblins. You just have to beat it twice.
Yeah, but same with Mario.
Yeah, but Mario
you get another capture.
Yeah,
you have to go to a new level. You have to play the entire.
Yeah, no, with Mario too. Mario also. Like when you beat Mario, it's like, oh, thank you, but there's another challenge. Hit B to continue, and then you hit B.
Yeah, but that's like the new. That's the same thing with Zelda. It's the new world. You beat the game does end. It's just that you can continue to play it. There is an ending, and then there is another ending. There is no ending. You
didn't refuse you the satisfaction.
I'm confused.
That's what Ghosts and Goblins did.
You could beat Mario in one play, and you get an ending. It just tells you to play it again. And it's harder. The game Ghosts and Goblins is just cycles the game again. I'm more comparing it.
So there's never an end?
There is an end the second time you beat it. I'm saying
same with Mario.
There's a different. Never mind.
It's gonna go on.
You're wrong. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
Okay.
It's just, like it's like Zelda. It's like the end of Zelda when you get New Quest. That is more like what you're saying with Mario, because there is a satisfactory ending when you beat Mario the first time you beat it. The game you can play it.
And it's like, hey, do you want some more? Oh,
So if you beat the original Zelda,
it's optional.
If you beat the original Zelda, you get same thing with Mario. If you beat Mario, you get an ending, and then you can play it again. If you beat Zelda, you get an ending, and then you play it again. Called the Master Quest. Or Second Quest, I guess the Master Quest would be more the Ocarina of Time thing. But then there are games that cycle or flip, what they call flipping, which is like Kung Fu, which is like one of my favorite games on NES. Where like you'd play the same 5 stages over and again. You would basically just try to flip the score back to 0 if you could.
So anyway, I could never beat like the third dude.
In Kung Fu?
Yeah.
Oh, the guy with the hornet?
I don't even know. I mean, I think I got like 2 dudes, and I was like, that's it. I can't.
That game is fucking
really hard.
Awesome.
Really hard.
Irem. That's a defunct developer now, but they had some shit.
I just remember never beating a game on the NES, or I just never. Like I don't think I ever. Maybe Mario, but I don't think I ever got to the end of any of the other games because I just was like, I don't get it. When I was a kid, I just didn't understand that you were like, we were talking about Mega Man, and I was like, I didn't fucking get that you were supposed to use the powers from the other guys. It wasn't very intuitive, and I wasn't one of those kids.
It isn't
that,
intuitive.
I wasn't one of those kids that all throughout my like early age schooling, like junior high and elementary school, it never clicked on me that you should read the book, like open the book, read the chapters, assimilate the information. Because all of the answers on the test are going to be coming from that source. Yeah. I just thought I would divine the information somehow, and it would come to me because I was such a clever fellow. So the same applied to gaming, where I would start the game and go, "I'm going to figure it out," and I'd get past the first stage of like, "It's easy." Then immediately, because that's how those games were, the second stage was really fucking hard, and I'm like, I quit. I would put the game aside and go back to Mario or something that I knew how to beat. So like those games to me, like. I would have attempted that. I would look at it one second, like, nah, I'm not gonna get.
It was so funny playing Mega Man yesterday, like with all the comments, because I am really good at those games. Right. But it really isn't. It is a matter of being intuitive or not. There are just certain games you know how to play, and Greg and I were talking about that. Like when 9 came out, we hadn't had a new 8-bit style game in 14 years from a Mega Man game or whatever since 6, and I just knew how to play it, and I was really good at it immediately. Yeah. And some people like play the game and they're like, I can't even beat one stage. And I'm like, that's funny because it's born in my mind, like how to play it. You know what I mean? Like it just feels a certain way. And there's just certain games like that. So some people are just more comfortable with the stiffness of Castlevania, for instance, over the more looseness of Mega Man or the quickness of Ninja Gaiden or something like that. Like there's just games that feel right to certain people. Right. Mario feels right to me, but I still feel like Mario does not nail gameplay like either Ninja Gaiden or Mega Man do. I think the games are really great. Really great games.
I think it nails like the design of it and the actual fun factor of it.
Well, yeah, I mean it's a revolutionary design game. Revolutionarily.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I still think the jump from Mario is your baseline jump, and that where you deviate from it. That's how I kind of judge it until I think it was with New Super Mario Brothers where the weight changed entirely with Mario, and it drove me like I could never play that game because I'd say it's so embedded in me how that jump is supposed to happen, what that parabola is supposed to be. That I'm like, dude. get on a diet because I need skinny Mario.
You're way
because that's
down,
the only way
bro.
I know how to play this game.
There's Mario's physics were really ahead of their time, I think, in the sense of like running and the speed in which you were going. Like watching someone play Mario without holding the B button down at all times is the most painful thing.
Oh yeah,
because like it's like you can't play like when people just walk, and I'm like, you can't play the game like this. Like you can't.
Yeah.
What do you like? You have no hope and no prayer of beating this. You have to hold the B button down always, always. Never stop holding the B button down. But then the way he jumps, that's why that game was really complicated.
That would be a
in that
fun
sense.
shirt. Never stop holding the B button down.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like I don't. Once I get it's painful for me to watch some people play games like that just don't know how to play games. And Mario's like the quintessential one where I'm like, oh my god, I can tell in 2 seconds if you know how to play this game or not.
It's funny. I always forget about the B button when I go back to try to play it. I'm like, this isn't right. This isn't good. This isn't. That's right.
It's very sluggish without it. Yeah, and you can't make any of the jumps after like.
There's 2 jumps in World 8 that you can't make without running.
Yeah, see, I think a lot of my bad memories were of just playing games of frustration that I just didn't know how to beat, and I wasn't. It was pre-internet. Like I didn't subscribe to like Nintendo Power or any of those magazines, so I didn't really get any.
The playground.
I mean, I just didn't know like any of that stuff
Nobody
existed.
would talk to Nick.
I know. I mean, I didn't. Like, none of my friends. Like, I had one friend, my buddy, Will Mejia, who grew up. He had every system, so he was playing mostly like he was playing Genesis games most of the time because they looked cooler. And I was like, all right, well, that looks dope.
Gotta get Genesis.
Comic Zone.
What's that?
Comic Zone.
Comic Zone.
Vector Man.
Yeah, I don't know. It just never occurred to me that like
system.
there was a culture about games like that. So like there would be, you'd get to. I'm trying to think of the game that I don't think I ever beat Ninja Gaiden. I don't think I remember. I remember getting specifically to a point and being like, I don't know how to beat this. Mm-hmm. So I would literally play the game over and over and over again because it was fun up until that point. Stop, reset it, and go back.
That was like me with Ninja Turtles.
That was the other game that I could never get past the underwater.
That
fucking,
actually sounds like some of
seaweed.
Itagi's Ninja Gaiden games too.
That's very true.
That's very true.
Or me with Bayonetta on the missile sequence. Where I'm like, there cannot be anything that good past this for me to try this one more time.
I mean those were my frustration stories. But some of my best stories were I remember because I used to be a big PC gamer, right? I would be that I was the only person I knew that had a PC, so I would literally call tech support to try to figure out how to get my BIOS configuration to the point where it would like deliver the most amount of RAM.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Like it was it was awesome. And I had this big ass sheet that was like yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. So you'd hit the BIOS and it would ask you what systems you wanted to enable, and I had that in muscle memory. It was like yes, 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 no, yes, 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 no, and just go. So I could play games like XCOM. And I remember the first time I played XCOM, my buddy Ryan came over to my house for a spend the night. He was sleeping over, and he was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Oh, this is a cool game I got for my PC." And I played it for 10 minutes, and he played it for 8 hours straight. My mom woke up the next day and was like, "Have you gone to bed yet?" And he's like, "No, but I have to keep playing this game." I had gone to bed like 6 hours ago. I was like, "I guess you got it, bro. Cool. Like, report back. I'm gonna go eat." Because that's what I did. I was chubby.
Shadow box a little bit in the front yard.
I would throw a couple elbows out. But no, those are the games that like that's a lot of my when I decided like PC gaming is when I got into that shared culture of gaming. Like friends like I always tell the story of my band director in middle school gave me I want to say it was Doom, but it came on like 20 discs. And so you'd have to install them one after the other, and it was cool because he gave and you could share. There was software piracy, whatever. But
DRM, whatever.
You would just give them to other friends, and you'd all be playing at the same time. They're like, "Oh, did you find that hidden level in this?" I'm like, "No, I didn't know the hidden what. I don't understand how that works. That's a thing. Like, oh yeah, you go up to this wall, you hit this panel, and it just opens up, and you get all this cool stuff." So those are some of my good memories. I think the last one was just when I think it was either the summer Mario Kart came out or GoldenEye. When my parents went out of town for like a week and a half to New Orleans, and we threw a week-long party where we drank at night and swam in the pool and played Mario Kart all day long for like 3 or 4 days straight, and it was awesome.
That sounds like a good party.
It was so good. Like when you were actually they did because my brother was there, so he was 5 years older than I was. Yeah, so he literally would bring all of his high school and college. Like actually no, I think he was in college at that point. He'd bring all of his college friends over, and so all of my friends would want to party because there would be alcohol, so they'd all come over, and it was just a good time. You'd spend like whenever you got hot, you'd jump in the house and you'd play a few rounds because we just crank. When your parents left, you're like, "Yeah, mom, no, we're not going to turn the air conditioning up," and then you're like, fuck that. Because I grew up in Riverside, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with Riverside. It is like 110 degrees.
You need to turn up the air conditioning.
We would chill the house to about 50 degrees. It probably cost about $500. We didn't give a shit. And that was fun.
Video game parties were
What a
great.
badass.
They were fun.
That's what we used to do. The thing where I was talking about on N64 was GoldenEye and Smash, and then WrestleMania 2000 or whatever. Where Friday night go to after school, go home to Michael Ryan's house, and then just eat pizza all weekend long, and go home Sunday.
That's hilarious. You had a friend named Michael Ryan?
Mike O'Brien.
Oh, I had a friend named Todd Ryan. His was the house we went to because his parents built this house. Like his dad was a carpenter. He built this big ass house, and the bottom floor of it was this cool basement that was Todd's room. And so we'd go down there, and it was huge. Like we had like a punching bag and like weights that we never used. And yeah, he had a big TV, and we would just.
That's what it was at the O'Brien's house too. Yeah, their downstairs they just finished it, so it had like nice couches and this giant TV, and just go down there playing 64 nonstop.
Also, Todd's stairs went right to the kitchen, so that was easy. So that was instead of having to move, we just had to climb a couple stairs. You felt like you burned some calories. And
of course. Then you drank 14 more Dr. Peppers.
100%.
Yeah. All right.
What about you?
I think that I've gone through mine.
That was it?
What? No, I did that. Some in the beginning. Oh, my bad ones?
Yeah.
The cat puke.
Your cat puke.
No, that was a good one. That's a cherished memory.
Greg Miller.
It's not a bad memory of the cat puke. You guys, we did some saves getting eaten. Okay. The Wolverine pounding on the table. That was a bad one.
All right, I'm sorry. You did go through yours already.
Yeah. A good one, an industry one that always stands out to me is I don't know about you. Colin and I for sure. Do you review events where you got to go somewhere to play a game? How do you feel about that?
I didn't go to that many when I was on X-Play because there were certain days of the week I had to be in Los Angeles to tape the show.
Sure.
So I'm trying to think if I've even been to.
What did you do when like GTA came out?
I did a couple with Revision 3. One definitely was not a fond memory. It's actually it's a tip I pass around. This is free advice for all publishers. If people are coming to play your game and only your game for hours on end, there needs to be a constant supply of food. Not because you're being generous or trying to win them over. It takes a lot of blood sugar to focus on a game and play it for hours on end. Yeah. And I know for me that when I crash, like I'll make one mistake, and that mistake will then happen even faster, and faster. Yeah. It's just it's a nightmare. Anyway.
Review events.
Yes.
I usually hate them. I hate getting sent somewhere, playing something, doing whatever.
It's the worst.
But Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker on the PSP, the best game of all time, best game of last generation. They did it here in San Francisco at the Nico Hotel. And so that was actually an awesome experience to go there, sit with these awesome headphones, play it on PSP, and then when you wanted to play with somebody to try out the co-op, you could just talk to somebody next. I'd turn to Sam Bishop. We'd play together. I'd punch your microphone and do that. But it was just 2 days of playing Peace Walker nonstop. And I loved that game so much, getting to enjoy it that way. I loved
The proper way.
On the PSP. Bring it to Vita, put trophies on it. I know it's on Vita, but I want trophies on it. Being clear.
In HD.
Just bring over the PS3
and a
version.
Pony. You want a pony
and a pony.
with it.
And a pony.
You want to play it on a pony on the Vita.
I want a new Patapon. Worst memory of all time, Superman 64. The one game that made me buy an N64 turns out to be the worst game of all time. The game I've been waiting for.
You got an N64 for Superman?
I'm a bit of a DC Comics fanboy.
Were you not watching GameSpot TV?
I saw it.
I was out there as a professional trying to give word that this is a bad idea.
Mm-hmm. I was
$70 that piece of shit was selling for.
But I saw it in Wizard Magazine, the one screenshot, the first time ever of Superman doing this. And I was like, I gotta get this. And that was it. That was the end of it.
See, that shot of Superman doing this was one of the key reasons to tip anyone off that may not be good.
Yeah.
But I didn't care.
It just didn't look right.
How bad could it be is what I'd say, though. And it was very bad.
It was inconceivable that it could have been that bad. Because I remember that was the other thing. That was a game where I couldn't capture the footage for it. I didn't do the review. Someone got... I think it was Joe Fielder over at GameSpot did the review where he said... Superman 64 only lets you know how much deeper the barrel goes before you hit the bottom.
Wow. That's awesome.
But we could not. I mean, the game was so impossible. Just the stupid Lex Luthor rings at the beginning were so impossible to get through that for some reason we had been supplied with a bunch of footage. And it is the only time to my memory where the footage we ran with the review was not actually done by us.
Right.
Like
You're like, fuck it, we gotta do something.
All we had were images of him flying through rings for about 5 minutes.
Right.
And we needed to fill a hell of a lot more time with more variety. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I would look at the footage that we got. I'm like, how did you do that? How did you get there? This looks like the game is playable.
Right.
And it is not playable.
Yeah, I had a friend who, eventually I talked. It took a weekend of play for me to be like, this is awful, and I just gotta stop. I gotta let it go.
I like you. You probably had the 48 hours to return to justify it. It's like,
Oh yeah,
no,
that's
big time.
That's authorial intent. The fact that it doesn't work. I mean, it's challenging to be Superman.
It's really hard to be Superman. Yeah,
It's
he's very
tough to be
powerful.
I got it on a Friday, and I didn't go to Joe Jackson's barbecue because I was like, well, no, I'm gonna play Superman.
The
of course.
singer?
No, it's just the guy who lived down the street from us, and it was like
That'd be like the weirdest match.
He threw good.
really weird.
He threw good barbecues. Yeah, he was gonna hang out with Michael Jackson's dad. So I'm like, now I got Superman 64. Everybody. Sorry. And then, yeah, by Sunday I had to come to terms with how bad it was, and I stopped playing. But then I had a friend who did, and he played all the way through. And he's like, "Oh man, what did you think when you fought Darkseid?" I'm like, "I didn't. What are you fucking talking about? Why did you keep playing that? How did you get to Darkseid? How is that possible?"
Darkseid was in the game?
Oh yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Who the hell would know?
Did anyone ever tell the story about that game? Like
Why it went off?
Why
Not that I've heard of.
or how?
Titus was a hard publisher to knock down.
That's right, it was Titus.
Yeah, because like
Developer.
as a man who when I was still writing a lot would tell a lot of stories. I like telling a lot of stories to developers and games or whatever. I never even thought to try to go down that road because that is considered the worst game of all time with the exception of maybe E.T. So
Yeah.
Well, and the thing that's more, as opposed to E.T. and a handful of other bad games, there's so much game there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Is not only is it bad, but it's like it's like a smorgasbord of bad. It's like it is just an endless shitstorm of just bad and horrible. Mixed
It
with
gives
awful.
you 2 seconds. Like we did a let's play of it like recently for the channel, and like when I finally got through the first rings, I was like, yes, and then you immediately fail the next thing. Because you have to know to fly. A counter starts, you just have to fly to these fucking cars or whatever.
Yeah,
Like, what the
good
shit is
lord.
happening?
Is it considered one of the worst games ever, or the worst game ever, just because of how high profile it was? Because surely there's worse games out there that have been made.
I mean, there might be worse. There might be worse like budget games or whatever. But I mean that in terms of AAA games, I mean,
I played some
No,
licensed
I mean-
games that suck.
Where it's also comparable to E.T. is the speed with which it becomes unplayable. Whereas
Yeah.
other games just start to suck or
They're just
become
boring,
boring
yeah.
or they just like lose any sense of energy or ideas. This game becomes unplayable and it doesn't even crash on you. It doesn't have the decency to like
put you out of your
leave
misery.
the home while you're sleeping because there's no return call. It's not gonna happen.
Right.
All right.
yeah, I remember I remember really clearly. My memory of that game is just the draw distances. Like
The Kryptonite Fog.
It's really
It made
good.
sense.
They do talk about it in the game.
Yeah,
right?
oh yeah.
Like to try
Lex
to.
is like, I put a Kryptonite Fog in
That's
here.
so awesome. That's so fucking awesome that they did that. Like the game does not.
You know,
draw
that
more
whoever
than-
did that was like, now what are you going to get us for, reviewers? Yeah, we know there's no draw. It's Kryptonite Fog. Lex put it in there.
Come
Come
on.
on.
That's so brilliant.
Story,
That's such
10 out of
actually that's
10.
actually kind of a
Genius.
stroke of genius.
Yeah.
Don't you think they called up Iguana and they're like, yeah, Turok too. Our fog is part of narrative.
Now you'll learn.
Am I the only person that loved Turok?
Turok was great.
I like
Cerebral
that a lot.
Bore, everyone who did that. Get your expansion pack in there, pop it in, you're set to go.
That was Turok 3 though. That wasn't 2.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Yeah, I don't think you got the expansion pack for the higher res.
I just remember again Mike
3.
O'Brien having it and playing it and using the Cerebral Bore and boring into people's heads.
I don't
And us
think I
all
got
watching.
that far in Turok. I just
The
remember
expansion
first
pack,
one.
man, that was another thing entirely. Someone took my expansion pack from me in high school, borrowed it, and I just never saw it again, so I could never play.
Majora's Mask.
Well, after Majora's Mask, I was done
Dark.
with it already, but yeah, I never got back.
Donkey
Was
Kong
the-
Country.
yeah, the first one was Donkey Kong 64. I think it came with it.
Yeah.
It mandated the use of it.
Yeah, Majora's Mask needed it too. There was only there was a handful of games. Yeah, Perfect Dark. A handful of games that you must have it to play, but there were other games that were just enhanced. I think by it.
Was that the extra RAM that you had to put in it? Or was
Yeah.
it, was
4
It was
MB of
usually to
RAM
help
extra.
textures.
Right, so that you open the little thing in the back, right?
No,
You
it was
were
front,
It was
front.
the front. And you were like, that's what that thing's for.
Yeah.
You pop it in. I remember that.
You've been keeping peanuts.
There were mystery ports
Oh,
on it.
that's right. It was the rumble that you plugged into.
Yeah,
the
that's
controller.
what I was,
Right,
that's,
right,
I was trying to
right.
figure out which one
That's
was the one.
right.
Yeah.
That was Star Fox 64. That came with that one.
The Rumble Pack. Got it.
See, I still think
What's
it's
the
interesting
point?
that the first DualShock was sold for Ape Escape.
Yeah, we thought it's really weird because I remember I got my DualShock only for Metal Gear Solid, which was after Ape Escape, but I remember my neighbors coming over because they rented Ape Escape and they were like, "We need your DualShock controller." I'm like, "Really? I thought this was supposed to be like an optional thing, though. Like, and you must have it for this." And I'm like, "All
Because
right."
you have to row a boat.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Shuhei Yoshida worked on that game.
Was it? Was the N64 wasn't the first controller that had the analog stick, right? Or was it?
Yeah, it is. It
Yeah,
is.
because it would predate the DualShock.
Interesting.
Wait, the Sega Saturn didn't? Yeah.
No, Saturn didn't have,
Saturn
a,
didn't have
Saturn
it,
have a
yeah.
stick. Yeah, so it would be there might be some obscure shit like the Pippin or something that had a stick on it, but yeah, that's the first one.
Mainstream-wise.
Yeah, that's the first one.
Nintendo is innovation.
Nintendo has revolutionized did revolutionize controllers many times. The D-pad, triggers.
The kidney buttons
Rumble.
on the GameCube, which I always really liked.
Oh,
The
GameCube.
X and Y buttons?
But the X and Y, whatever the ones that are like-
Around the big
Yeah,
A.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are
Kidney, I like that. I like that.
the GameCube controller is like my favorite
Amazing.
controller by a mile.
Amazing controller.
Just the most ergonomic controller ever.
Ergonomic.
Ergonomic.
It's a funny word.
Thank you, Kenny Char. Good topic.
Good topic.
My turn. This comes from being pulled from hanging out with Adam all day long. So we're on Colin Moriarty Live today. We talk about this Batgirl business. You start talking about the Killing Joke. You like comics. Then during it, you reveal you're a DC comic fanboy over Marvel, just like me. So we're kindred spirits on that. I didn't know this. Then we're out at the table and we're talking about comics, and you said, "Man, it's just I get excited to talk about comics." Because no one else talks about comics. And I want to talk about Saga, and I'm like, I want to talk about Saga and all these different things. So here's my question. This is my topic. Why aren't comics more popular? What the hell's going on? Because this is going back to this Batgirl thing. If you didn't catch it, there was this social media brouhaha on Sunday with the hashtag change the cover of this variant Batgirl cover with Joker, and she's got one tear on her face and looks to be blood on her mouth, and he's got a gun, he's leaning over. It's a reference to the Killing Joke. Everybody got mad about it, but way more people, the proportions were all wrong. These clearly weren't all comic book fans getting mad about it.
Wait.
These are people who just saw the image and now have an opinion about it.
Are they mad about it because it looked like it was violence against women?
That it wouldn't be.
Well, it was also infantilizing Batgirl. That's how it was interpreted.
Okay.
There's a whole bunch. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different. There's layers to this onion.
Okay.
But exactly.
Like, I'm just trying to figure out what the main criticism was of
the main criticism is that it's not making her a strong female character. It's alluding to her being weak in the face of the Joker. It isn't in line with what the Batgirl comic is right now, which is kind of true, and what Babs and everybody's been doing. There's all these different things to it, but again, so much fervor about it from people I know. Not that people I know aren't, but the number of people that aren't really reading comics. They're seeing an image and reacting to it. They're reacting to a piece of art. So this just that's not really what we're talking about.
Sure.
But it's more about the fact of why aren't comics more popular?
I think the easy answer is that comic books are the nerdiest of all the nerd things. You know, when people think
the nerd movies are so popular.
Yeah, but like that's different though. Like that's movies that has Scarlett Johansson in it, so like people can latch onto that even if they aren't interested in all that. And it's taken a long time for those movies to be what they are.
True.
And I think Disney helps a lot, and like all just the marketing and all that stuff. Video games are finally starting to be. I'm not even starting, as far as I'm concerned. They're a thing now where it's not weird to like video games.
No, yeah.
It's a little more mainstream, but still, like I've recently been introduced to a whole group of people that think it's crazy that people actually play video games, and I was like, I didn't know those people still exist.
Get rid of those people.
But they do. I know.
Them in your life.
They're really weird people.
Were they from 1987?
No, I mean these are people that are like my age, and like it's just a group of people that just don't understand that like video games are a real thing. People take part in.
People still don't. They still. It is one of those things where it's mainstream, but people just won't. They don't get it. They won't admit it. Because it hasn't, not because it's any sort of like outward protest against it. It just doesn't occur to most people. Like you don't look at them as an actual pastime and an art form. You just look at them as something people do on a train.
Well, it's probably like I can't believe that there's someone out there that plays lacrosse and enjoys it.
That's a good point, right?
I'm like, really? I mean, I can understand you might feel obliged to keep your parents happy. Right. You're actually deriving pleasure? Really?
Getting these balls thrown at your face.
Okay, yeah.
Catch them with your little mitt.
But I feel like with comic books, like in Simpsons, the comic book nerd, like he's
sure.
Like he's the comic book nerd. People know that, and that's like kind of like the tropiest of tropes of that.
I think there's a different reason, but I think it goes back to comic book nerd. It's not so much also that it makes me look bad. And I think I found this because I'm still reading a couple DC. I'm waiting for them to reboot this nightmare that they created for themselves.
The new 52. The newer 52.
But like, look at all the interesting stuff that's coming out of Image, like sex.
Image is totally the one. Image is where it's at.
There's no barrier to entry other than like the very fundamentals of how to read a comic.
Sure.
That like Comic Book Nerd points out that there's all that sense of lore and canon and how many references you can make to things like, can I get in there and I'm going to feel welcome?
Right.
Reading some of these comic books. And I think, it's actually one of the reasons I tried to read some Marvel stuff. And I'm just like, oh, you clearly don't want me here because I need like a fairly significant amount of knowledge to be able to, take any pleasure.
The two Marvel books I'm reading, right? Spider-Gwen and Miss Marvel. Because those are reboots, number ones. I can jump in and go. And even Spider-Gwen is talking about the Spider-Verse and all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm not up on this because I'm not a Marvel guy.
And to be up on that requires reading like 10 different series and to keep up with all of them.
Which is also just messed up because it's like, then collect them together in the order you think I should be reading.
Exactly.
Why is
and number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't number them in different series and all this stuff and have A's and B's.
What was it? I was trying to catch up on Civil War because that's the next plot of Captain America 3.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. And I asked Kevin, because I don't think you were around. I would have defaulted to you, but what up, Kev? I was like, which ones, because I'm on Comixology, I'm like, which one of these do I need? Because it recommends that you read 100 comic books to get all the Civil War storylines. And I'm like, and this is new to me, so I'm like, do I really need to read that one episode of Hulk, like number 117, where he talks about it for like 5 seconds? Kevin's like, no, there's a core 7. That's all you have to read.
I mean, that's the thing. There is a core, but then the problem is, especially these days, they reference things that happen. And sometimes in Spider-Verse, this recently happened, where you can't just read the Spider-Verse books. Like, there's big events, like people die in the other issues, and it's like they just don't even reference it later until randomly it's like, oh yeah, where's this guy? Oh, he's dead. And it's like, wait, when the fuck did he die? And it's like, that's fucked up. There should be a core story, and all the other stuff should just be superfluous bullshit, but it's not.
How complex everything is definitely, I think, the main barrier to entry. And I've talked when we go to Comic-Con and we get to go to these parties and hang out, and I'm lucky enough to know a bunch of creators, and I'll go talk to them. What I'm always pushing, and these are the DC people, I'm always pushing them on, just don't do the New 52. Just blow up continuity. Just take Jeff Johns and Jim Lee and say, all right, guys, great. You have 12 issues of Superman. Do whatever the fuck you want. And when it ends, the next person gets to do whatever the fuck they want. And that's why I love Injustice so much. At least the first year, 2 years of Injustice. Right now, it's so hard to keep up with because it's been going for so long. But Injustice was like, all right, cool. Here's this world with all the characters you love, and Lois is dead, and Jimmy's dead, and Joker. You just go. This is what the world is. You know what I mean?
See, but I think there's a certain romantic virtue to having a series start at 1 and go. And my sort of point of reference for this is not, I don't read Marvel, I don't read DC Comics, I just don't. I got back into comics when you guys started talking about Invincible via The Walking Dead, which I still haven't gone back and read The Walking Dead comics, but I was like, I'll check out Invincible, and I'm hooked. Yeah. And I love watching that story, and maybe it's just Kirkman that can do this, but I love watching that story sort of evolve, and the different plot lines start intertwining, and then one ends while 3 others start going, it gives you that sense that this is a real world that's ever present, and it's going, even if Invincible were to die one day, that it would continue to go on. He won't die. He's invincible. It's the name of the thing.
The thing about that, though, is like when you sit here and you ask me, kids ask me all the time, there's a video, go find it, an old Greg way of what to read, right? I don't ever recommend, you need to read Superman 35 to 42, because they aren't, no, I'm like, read Last Son, which happened in action. It was a Jeff Johns, Richard Donner joint, but it wasn't in continuity. It was just whatever. There it is. Read the Superboy run. It's this. It's like
it gets so hard, man.
Look, and some of the most famous ones out there, Dark Knight Returns,
right.
Kingdom Come,
Spider-Man
like
Blue,
Killing Joke.
The ones that really endured are the ones that do take place outside of continuity, because they tell everyone, hey, everyone's equally as dumb when they come to this for the first time, and you have to kind of suss out what the world is all on your own.
Yeah,
it's I understand that there's the certain economics of the comic book industry where they want to kind of get that big fanboy, but when you become that reliant upon like your fanboys and like the people you currently have, your community, you really do that at the expense of broadening things. I think I think it's a problem that exists in video games.
It's every medium.
I think one other that really has this problem is tabletop role playing games.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And I know that there are efforts like at Wizards of the Coast to try to bring down that that barrier to entry for something like Dungeons and Dragons. And I just did a game maybe about 3 months ago. They brought in a guy from Wizards of the Coast to run it, and I was really nervous because it had been so long since I played it. I'm like, guys, I don't really know. He goes, no, this is going to be cool.
Yeah.
And he was chill. He's like, okay, you can do this or this. I was getting some guidance. And I was like, man, I love this.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about Zacco.
Over that hump.
Zacco and all that kind of. Remember playing Dungeon? Like there were some fucking crazy.
Was like I mean, it's the fact that there are video game RPGs that still try to hold on. It's like you know what? I'm fighting a fucking dragon, so don't tell me that I have 2 herbs too many and suddenly I can't move.
Yeah. No, that Fallout shit where you're hiding them in little things. Like I'll remember to come back to this footlocker.
Yeah, D&D version 2 was or edition 2 was like really really fucking complicated. I remember when I was a kid. I liked it, but
I think because I've always looked at a lot of this stuff, games, comic books. It's kind of like language, and we want to make it really oblique and austere because then it's something that we feel we have ownership over, and we do want to keep other people out. And I think it's on the part of the creators to kind of see that temptation and that desire and not fully indulge it because in the long run, they want to have as many people read their stuff and obviously you want to be successful.
It's crazy to me that like when you talk about video games in particular versus comics, right? How much longer comics have been around than video games, but how I feel like every day we see the video game industry mature with us. That's what I was talking about, right? And the fact that like now there's a game for every experience you want, and you know what I mean? Like it is a more of an accepted art form, right? Like people understand that adults play games and adults do this, whereas I think adults reading comics still isn't that thing on that giant
I would
thing.
disagree with that one. Like
Really?
if you go look at the New York Times, especially in the Sunday Book Review, there are sections dedicated to graphic novels. Like it's like
See, I think that we have to make
and it's not that kind of sequestered off to the side where
Yeah.
like it's over there, but it's not just like say Persepolis or stuff that really is
Sure.
high art. Like they'll talk about stuff that's way more pop. It's quite interesting.
But I feel like if I'm on an airplane and I'm reading a comic on my iPad, I'm gonna get weirder looks than if I was playing in 3DS or a Vita or whatever.
Especially when like nudie bits pop up.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that happens.
I'm like, ooh, I didn't know it was there.
This last one I'm reading Saga, and I was like, ooh, damn.
Yeah. Oh, Saga's gotta love it. I was reading Powers, and Powers there's no nudity in it until like the 16th book, and I'm like, oh, okay, well that's disgusting.
There you go.
It's like a blown apart
it's
body
disgusting.
that's nude. But I think first we got to make the distinction, right? And this is unfortunately the distinction you have to make between a comic book and a graphic novel, which for some reason the graphic novel just seems so much more mature.
It does.
Right?
No.
They're telling more mature stories, and it's not about it's not about the fantasy of the superhero. It's about telling a story you can't easily tell in other mediums. I also stand by the fact that it's a price point problem. Why they're not mainstream.
Sure.
They're
$2.99 is still ridiculous.
Damn expensive for what you get. Like it wards me off every time I want to go get a comic book. I'm like, I can't afford to catch up on a comic book run because it's like $300. Versus you're gonna tell me I can go out there and get a video game for $60, and that could be potentially 20 hours worth of entertainment.
Or hell,
for me,
I mean, you get
or
a fucking
more.
99 or free to play game on your phone.
Right,
You have
and that's
7 hours of entertainment.
hours of entertainment.
Once again, this is one of the things that Image does so well. Is I don't believe I've seen this out of DC. Is they'll sell like the TPB volumes, so like 1 through 14. So you're coming in at like $15. I can get like 7, 8 of them in continuity,
sure.
and I can now make an informed decision. The other thing they're doing is they're taking a better cue from television, where things are being started with the intention of them ending.
Right, that's 100%
You know?
true.
And
true.
it's like you can start to see it kind of going out like a season of Breaking Bad,
Yeah,
where like
yeah.
you're going to get a run of stuff, but you know that there's going to be an ending, and there's something a lot more gripping and satisfying.
Definitely, Marvel does not do that at all.
They do trade paperbacks, but they don't.
No, they trade- there's
I'm
no
just making
end in sight. Yeah, it's like-
Well, it's sorry, go ahead.
I meant the trade paperbacks being sold digitally.
Yeah.
'Cause I'd
No,
be
those happen too.
No, they do that. I think everyone does
okay.
that.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
all do that.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a difference, right? Like again, going back to Powers, not my favorite of all the books, but I started reading it because that new series is coming, and I want to see how that
here.
helps. It is here, actually. That's true.
here.
That will help it eventually. Is that every damn good show or movie that's being made is actually now based on a comic book, which is great.
But that's the weird thing that we're jumping around here. But this is one of my weird points about this. Is like now comparing. I was talking about video games and comics, but now the fact that like when comic book movies did start hitting, I think everybody thought comic books will hit too, and that's one of the reasons DC went back and reset everything to try to get you in. But it didn't work to, I'm sure, the level they want.
But see,
And now they're back to, like,
I definitely think that it did. Maybe not to the level, but like it definitely helped. I mean, I didn't read comics until the movies started happening. I mean, I read Transformers and Ninja Turtles because I really like those franchises. That's it. But when all these superhero things started, I was like, I've heard about Civil War forever. I want to actually read this stuff. I want to actually know. And I remember I started with the Ultimate line. And so the Ultimate line, for the people that don't know in Marvel, is just it was a complete reboot, another continuity.
That was Marvel's way of getting in new readers.
That was Marvel's way of just doing something new. It was not part of the actual continuity. It was a new jumping off point, and they started with Spider-Man back in 2001 because of the Spider-Man movies coming out then.
Yeah.
It was like, all right, we're going to get this new group of people in. And it's supposed to be able to just get in there. And now, 15 years later, it's just as, if not even more so, jumbled than the main Marvel.
Well, they try to do it, right?
continuity.
Spoilers, they kill Peter Parker and give you Miles, right?
Yeah.
And they try to give you these things that get the USA Today headline of like, wow, there's new Spider-Man.
And I've read
Death of Superman.
every
Yeah, it's
single
fantastic.
Ultimate comic from every single series. Every single series, I've read every issue. And all of it is in one big, long story. And it's all in one continuity, and it's awesome. But then when you go through 15 years, there's ups and downs and different writers. And all of a sudden, it's like, when you look at it, the characters that you're dealing with now, like Jean Grey is so drastically different than what Jean Grey was.
Yeah.
That it's like, why is this even the continuity's dumb? Like this doesn't even matter anymore.
Yeah.
Well, now, I mean, you were talking about the different creators. That's why you got to respect people like Saga and Brian K. Vaughan, and you have to respect Robert Kirkman and stuff. These people who make these books and stay on these books, and these are my characters, and this is the story I'm telling. And the
because they own them,
right?
And
Exactly.
that's the other thing.
They have a hell
of a lot more responsibility, not to the reader, but to the character.
Isn't that Image's? That's Image's sort of
creator owned
business model, right?
When McFarlane started it back in the '90s, it was creator owned.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They just didn't. I don't think they knew there were enough creators that saw the opportunity.
Sure.
It's interesting because back in the '90s, I mean, I read Spawn a little bit. I'm like, oh, this is pretty, but man, the writing sucks.
Yeah.
And and then I fell out of comic books again. I came back and I was like, oh god, Image is still around. And then I'm like, hold on, all the good stuff is coming out of Image, and it's just interesting that it took such a long time for that ostensibly really high-minded principal to really show some results.
Well, and they're also, I feel like those are the guys that got it. They were telling the more adult stories, right? They were telling the stories that really resonated with people that had life experience, where you're like, oh, this is about sex and violence and death, and like everyone's flawed in a fucked up way, and I identify with that because I am flawed in a fucked up way.
And that's what's going to be interesting comparing comics to video games, is that it's so hard for AAA developers in video games to keep going, keep doing what they want. Marvel and DC are those, and I'm sure we all remember. There's a lot of news stories about it now and what it meant to movies when Marvel went bankrupt, right? And like they just couldn't do it anymore the way they were doing it. And they had to sell off their movie rights and do all these fucked up things. Right. And it's one of those things where the stuff that DC and Marvel are doing the majority of it is boring. It is boring stuff. Continuity sucks. You know what I mean? A lot of books suck. Batman is like the one DC Comics that's amazing. They just redid Batgirl. I'm enjoying it, but it's totally polarizing and people don't like it. But Image is the one that is telling you stories like Outcast, right? Or it's just like, all right, this guy's like, he can talk to demons. And like, he's not like a superhero. He's just doing that. And then there's Nailbiter. This town has the highest per capita ratio of serial killers. Why? Let's go in and investigate.
That's
that.
cool.
That
sounds awesome.
I want to read that one.
I mean, I hate to say it, and I think the only way you're going to get mass audiences in is to make them free. You got to make them free to read. You have to have a model. It's all digital. I don't understand it. I'm sure they've thought about it.
I mean, but once again, the numbers on sex criminals is astonishing.
Yeah, sex
criminals. Suddenly you just had this idea that was so far removed from anything superhero-ish. And
what is sex criminals?
Okay, here's the greatest elevator pitch in the history of things.
You're gonna love it. I didn't know you know about this book.
No.
A young man and a young woman, independent of one another, discovered that when they orgasm, time stops. They meet each other, they have sex, they stop time, they rob banks.
That's awesome. Do they have sex in the bank? Or do they have sex and then go to the bank?
You just have to read it. It's actually a far sweeter and more thoughtful.
Yeah, I know, right? It sounds really gross.
I like
that.
The term sex crimes denotes some pretty serious
shit.
shit.
But if you go, I mean, I just was like, I wish I could have seen Matt Fraction just sit down in front of someone and say, this is what I want to do. Because how you're not going to be like, yes.
I love that.
Could you do that yesterday?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, but I mean, have they ever messed around with a digital model where you flip the page and you get an ad? Like...
Oh, you still get ads in your digital stuff, don't you?
Do you? No.
I apologize. My apologies.
Maybe at the back of the book, but it's mainly an ad for the
rest of the books. Yeah. So I mean,
what they've got to do is
they got to make it like YouTube.
What's going to happen? You imagine is that like again, it'll come from other people like Image or someone else who will finally say, "Fuck it." It's 99 cents to get the comic digitally, $2.99 to get it at the store.
Yeah, please do that.
But it's the same thing that we run into with games where it's like, I can't fuck over GameStop because they're putting me in front of people. You know what I mean? Like, there's this eyeball thing in this conversation. And the comics industry will get pissed off when that happens.
What if you get your first 3 of a series free? So you have to try it out.
Well, Marvel does that all the time.
Yeah, but I still want to. I mean, I don't want to pay 99 cents. I mean, to me, it's still like 50 cents.
Support a fucking artist.
No, I want to support it, but it's not. It's a cost benefit ratio. Like, I read a comic book in like 5 minutes.
I agree.
That's $3 for 5 minutes.
Some of the stories are so complex and complicated that when the new issue comes out, I have to go 3 issues back to figure out. My God, what read East of West? I'm like, who are you? What? Why? Oh,
well, that was my thing with
or make the books long.
Walking Dead. Is that I got turned on to Walking Dead as a comic at Trade Paperback 2. And so then when I started buying new, I would wait for the trades. I didn't want the clutter of single issues. Mm-hmm. And so I'd go, whenever a new one came out, I would go back and read from Trade Paperback 1 to catch up. And then it got ridiculous, and then I started buying them singles. And now I get single issues, and I don't know who people are because I can't remember what happened to them.
But Nick, I think I was actually chatting about this with someone else. Why can't they go with the Netflix model? Don't do it monthly.
That's the other model.
A run, like a proper story arc, and put the whole thing out. And now, if you put the price on it, that starts to feel like I'm getting something. I get a beginning, and I get an ending, and I get the full experience.
That's a really good point.
Or go the full Netflix model and let me pay $10 a month and read every single book that you put out.
And what's Marvel's model?
Right when it comes out.
I always forget Marvel's model because I don't use it.
It's called Marvel Unlimited.
But you can do it, but it's not the new. It's not
exactly. It's a year old.
It's like a year-old stuff.
But it's $9.99 a month for everything.
I don't know the exact pricing, but that sounds right.
But see, I don't want Marvel. I don't want DC. I want Comixology. I want to pay them $15, and I want to read
impossible.
every single comic that's
until
available.
the bottom falls out. You can't do that.
It's coming close. I want it to be like the Spotify of comics.
This
right?
is much like
yes, sometimes you can't get some of the stuff, but for the most part, when I want T Swift, well, that's a bad example. But for the most part, what I want. When I want to listen to fucking Bon Jovi or Led Zeppelin, it's there, right? Like I don't want to go buy it.
I can see that working with Image and some of the other labels where they are creator-owned because it's really just the creator gets to sign off on that.
Right.
Yeah.
And if enough creators are signing off on that, you're going to create pressure for the other ones to also want to get on board.
Right.
Unless it's like Kirkman or someone who's just so up at the top of their game that they feel that they can kind of
do whatever
make
they
their
want.
own.
So yeah, you need like an Apple.
$10
like,
a month.
That's what Apple did for iTunes, right? Where they came in, they were like, everyone's like, "There's no way you're gonna make this work. There's no way an online digital distributor can get all these licenses for all these music." And Jobs was like, "Okay, challenge accepted."
Yeah,
and
we
made
got
it work
this.
and revolutionized the way we distribute content now, because that was one of the first things that was like, "Oh, digital distribution can be a valid platform," and it's going to be the platform going forward. It's crazy.
For $100 a year, you can do Marvel Unlimited Plus. Yeah, Plus. You get a Rocket Raccoon
But
figure.
it's already unlimited. Let's talk about the English language for a second. It's unlimited. You don't get the plus unlimited. There are no limits.
Well, the plus is the Rocket
Infinity
Raccoon
plus one.
thing.
Discounts and whatnot. Yeah. I don't know. I think we've raised a lot of good reasons on why comics aren't more popular. Colin, you've been quiet. You don't like comics.
Yeah, I don't talk about things I don't know about.
I know. But do you ever find... I mean, we talk about certain things, and you're always like, that's an interesting story. I'd like to read it as a book.
Yeah, I mean, I love Batman specifically, and I've always loved Batman since I was a kid. But yeah, I think comics are, like, for me, kind of just weak. Like, I don't like that. I don't like that particular mode of storytelling.
Yeah.
If Batman was a book that was released like once every book, like it was
my favorite book of all time.
Yeah.
The one where he went after child molesters.
Yeah, exactly. But like, if they just produced it as a book, like every 6 months, like a really well fleshed out, meaty book, that would be really interesting to me, and I would read that because I think Batman's a great character.
See, I think that's why you would like Saga, because there's 26 volumes out now, or 26 books out now that you can probably get for all told maybe like, if you get the good deals on $30 maybe. And it's probably a good half day of reading for. I mean, you read fast, depending on if you actually want to soak in the pictures or not. But it's a really cool adult story that I think you'd like.
Yeah, it's not so much. I
and Juliet.
don't want to make it seem like I don't like comics because they're juvenile, because that's not true. I play games that are juvenile. It's just like there's something obnoxious about comic books to me in the sense that like they just rewrite their own stories and reuse the same. It's like, why? And we've talked about this. I've talked about this with Greg. I'm like, wouldn't Batman kind of be more interesting if like his run with Joker was like 5 years and that's it, and then Joker's just gone, and then they have another villain, and then that villain's gone, and then Batman dies and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't that be more interesting than like rehashing
100%.
and be like, oh, let's just reset Batman and reset Batman and reset Batman? It's like, why? Like, why?
But that's why you like Invincible, right?
It's just that shit's so wacky.
But they do that, right? Where they have these amazing characters, and he manages to like, you'll start off hating a character, and
Rex,
and then 20 issues later, you're like, that is. Wow, I love this character now. I didn't see it from their perspective, and then they die, and you're like, shit. Like, it's very, very Game of Thrones.
Batman: The Ultimate Evil is the book I'm recommending to you. Written by Andrew Vosh, 1995. Cool. That's the one.
I mean, I just have systemic problems with comic books, and I always have, and that's why I don't. I more power to people that like to read comics. My brother was a big comic fan when I was a kid. Obviously, he's an animator.
Well, yeah, he turned that into a career.
Yeah, I mean, he's a pretty big animator now. But so I was exposed to them, and I would buy my own comic books when we go to conventions and stuff with him. I could buy like G.I. Joe comics and stuff, but. At the 80s, G.I. Joe comics were awesome. But,
yes.
And actually really well drawn. But to me, it's just annoying and shows a vacancy and kind of a void of ideas. It's like, so you're so obsessed with Batman as a character that you will Batman will always exist. That's like saying like Nathan Drake is going to be a character for 80 years. Mm-hmm. We are going to reboot Uncharted over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's hard.
Instead of just making another IP that like is interesting to someone, you know what I mean? And that to me is like that is a uniquely comic book thing.
No, they
like,
do that in video games all the time. I mean, how long has Snake been around?
Snake, the story of Snake is a timeline. Like Metal Gear makes sense even from the original MSX Metal Gear up till Metal Gear Solid 4.
Let's not go ahead of it saying making sense. But yeah, there's a story.
But
that makes sense.
But there's an arc. No one like
Sure.
I was making fun of Metal, and to be fair, I was making fun of Metal Gear a few weeks ago on the Gamescast when they were like, Kojima wants to remake Metal Gear again. Metal Gear Solid again. I'm like, you fucking already remade Metal Gear Solid. You know what I mean? Maybe it's time for a new idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
the
that's
problem is you get into what fans want. You know what I mean? Fans want the Joker, and when they don't get the Joker, they get pissed off. And when they redesign Batman's costume and he looks like a mech, everybody's like, "That sucks. That's stupid." And don't get me wrong, I'm not defending it. I'm just saying it's like when you run a popular YouTube channel and you say, "All right, we're gonna stop doing this show," and the fans get all mad that you keep doing. You're not gonna stop it, so you keep doing the show. Then the numbers go down, and you're like, "What the fuck's going on?"
all right.
At some point, I want to see someone actually hold the line on something like that. I think there's probably some instances because people will come around. It's just,
I agree.
We're not that different than octogenarians who are looking at changes in their Medicaid plan. You know, change is scary to all of us.
It's very true. It's very true.
And I would argue, and I'd posit that like someone like Kirkman, who's like seems to be doing it right, is not going to reboot The Walking Dead.
No,
and The Walking Dead will end. Yeah. And when those characters are dead, they're fucking dead, and that's the end of it. And that's why I think people respect that, and that's why it transcends. Because we're talking about Arrow and Flash and all these things. You know,
that's a really good
Arrow
point.
and Flash have really bad ratings actually, considering the fact that their ratings
good
are
CW ratings.
Yeah, for CW, but Walking Dead's ratings are astronomical.
Yeah.
It's the
and
show on television, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's there's a difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Because he takes his subject matter seriously, and so people take the show seriously. Like my dad, who wouldn't be caught dead reading a comic book, fucking loves The Walking Dead.
I feel
my wife loves The Walking Dead.
So there's but my dad would never watch The Flash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's there's a major difference between the way comic books are handled. They're not handled as high art, because if they were, I'm not saying video games necessarily are either, but if they were handled like high art, then someone would say listen, Batman's over now.
Yeah.
And we're going to make...
But the world can live on.
Exactly.
The world
there
of
could
Gotham
be a different
can live on.
Gotham.
It can be another Batman or whatever.
Yeah, Gotham's the city and it exists. You know?
See, that's what Kirkman's so good at, right? And so if you look at what they're doing, and I don't know if it's his doing or not, but they're doing another spin-off of Walking Dead. Same world, different characters. And I'm in.
The LA show, yeah.
I'm totally in. It may or may not be good. It's basically the Breaking Bad methodology. It's like, we've got this great world. We have all these other great characters and all these other great circumstances. Let's just plug them in. We don't need Walter White. Right? Eventually, he's dead. It's fine. Sorry, spoilers, but
that's the big thing, is that I think DC and Marvel being the biggest and having their continuities are what's holding comics back from me taken seriously.
Well, I think your point is based on the cult of personality. Mm-hmm. To that extent, I think there may be a point here with Nick that some of the stuff that Image is doing, I think, fits those needs, where it's like, I have a story to tell, and I think this is the best medium under which to tell it. But it has a beginning, and it will have an end. Mm-hmm. Here you go.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I don't mean I don't. That's why I wasn't saying anything. I don't know enough about comics to really take part in a substantive conversation about them.
Sure.
I know DC and Marvel well enough to know that they were rehashing the same shit over and over again, and they were just fighting with each other over fucking shit that just someone should just come up with a new idea. You know, maybe come up with a new character, and because really it's. When I think about it, and I don't know the specific timeline in my head, but it's like Batman and Superman and the X-Men and the Avengers and Wonder Woman, they are all ancient.
75 years old.
You know, they're all ancient. Where is, why not just be we're blowing this shit up and we're Marvel and you're going to like it because you like Marvel. So if you want to read your Spider-Man story, then go read the Spider-Man story we just wrote. And now we're going to write something new about a new character that maybe you'll fall in love with. It's almost like they don't give anyone a chance to get involved in something and invest in something new, because they've set this whole rigor of being well, Batman's going to reboot it over and over again. It's like what I was saying with the expanded universe with Star Wars. I felt so betrayed when they took that off of canon, because I spent so much time learning about Star Wars, and then they're like, no, we're doing it again. And basically they do that to comic fans every 5 years. They're just no, everything in that continuity is...
It's gone.
It's gone now. We're going to do it again. It's what's the point?
What was the DC thing? Many years back.
Crisis on Infinite Earths.
This is appalling. I was in my 30s, and somehow I managed to get shingles. It probably was because I had to do... I had to do E3, and then I had to get approval from my future mother-in-law within about a 2-week period, and the level of stress. Because that was the first thing the doctor says, have you been under stress? Well, yeah. Well, you got shingles. So... I was stuck at home, in horrible pain on painkillers, and so Blair Butler and other nice people gave me a stack of comic books, and I think I tried to read Infinite Crisis issue 1 12 times, and I thought it was the drugs and the pain, and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I was like, this can't be right. And I'm like, okay, let me try this one more time. And I think it turned me off of ever going back to a DC for so many years, because it just said What? You don't understand where the Teen Titans fall into the apocalypse?
Yeah.
Here comes
And I'm
here's
like, okay,
Superman
that
from
isn't
Earth
just
2.
juvenile. That's asinine, and I'm just gonna go get some. Kind
And
of
that's what was
adult
exciting
comic.
about New 52 when they're like, all right, cool, we're going to simplify it, we're going to be easy, and this is what we're going to do. We're not going to have crossover events. And then they started doing fucking giant crossover events where you're trying to
less
read
than a year.
You're trying to read Batman, a death of the family, and if this happened in Batman, I was like, oh,
The ultimate
how's
crossover.
Joker in every one of these goddamn issues?
And how is Joker still alive? I mean, that's the bigger question. That was on the original conversation with Colin, obviously, but I guess the second one.
Well,
but
kind of relevant now.
but
yeah,
but
exactly.
there's a major issue with what the ultimate crossover is going to happen with DC with Batman versus Superman, which makes no sense. So I don't care how they're going to explain. I can't wait to see this movie to see how they're going to explain that a man from another planet with superpowers beyond which anyone can understand is going to somehow have this quarrel or combine powers with a normal person who's rich, and they're going to tell this story. This is why you don't make superheroes like that, and this is why you don't have crossovers like that, because Batman versus Superman, I don't care how they tell it, is going to make no sense. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
It'll still make money. That's
make a
the
lot of
problem.
money.
That's
It
why
doesn't
Batman can never go away, right? Because Batman he's the most popular comic book character ever created. Second, probably only to Superman, depending on who you're asking. The other issue that we just named inadvertently is another reason why there's a huge barrier to entry. There's too many goddamn characters.
Exactly.
How many characters are
many
there?
Bat
How many
things can you
books
have?
are running? Like, that's the other problem is when you look at getting into a comic book series, it's like, I don't want to touch Marvel because Marvel's so many characters, so many side characters. I can name 10 characters right now that have ongoing series. And that's why it's so much easier to get into what would be more traditionally considered the graphic novels, because like with Invincible, you only really have to care about 4 characters, real main
There's
characters.
there's
a lot of side characters,
yeah.
and he does those stupid, like, not stupid, but the
Are they
the
all
other
in,
runs.
Are they all in the same book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Most
they-
part,
that's the thing, though.
Yeah,
There
you're
was
correct.
an Invincible universe for a little bit.
Like-
They
like,
did slip.
I read Tolstoy or Dostoevsky. I'm like, oh god, it's another Russian person. No, it's all in the same book. I can kind of trace.
Yeah, you
them
can figure
through.
it out. Yeah, you can make some clip notes.
If there was like the universe of Dostoevsky,
Oh god, that'd be
I'm
horrible.
like,
Cinematic universe.
that would be
Ian
terrible.
Ilyevich over here, and then I got Raskolnikov over here, and I got to like flow chart all of them. No, I would have gone absolutely stark raving mad. That kind of is an awesome idea. The more I'm talking,
That's-
No, it sounds.
I'm gonna ward you off from this idea. This is not marketable.
But in saying that and kind of going down that road, it explains why some people are definitely in the comic books, and I understand that because it is like one of those things like with yarn on a wall where you're like trying to connect all the dots, and,
Yeah.
and I get why people are into that. But to me, it's like, with Batman, for instance, I am a big Batman fan. I like Batman, and I think he's a really fascinating character and a really fascinating group of villains. And Gotham's a fascinating city. Like, what I'd love for them to do is for DC to be like, who can we identify as the best writer and artists or whatever for this story? Let's do
Jones Jr.
Batman one more time. This is the Batman definitive. This is going to be the definitive run of Batman, and when it is over, it's over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is like, yeah, all right, nothing else happened. This is Batman. For the next 10 years, we're gonna make one Batman continuity about him from beginning to end, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that will be Batman. And then we will go to the next man, and the next person, and this
Next
man.
man.
Every single animal.
Like
you heard
that.
there's Man.
That to me was so fascinating because if someone was going to say to me, like, Colin, why aren't you in the comics? And we've already explained why, but if someone was like, we're going to do this now, with Batman, I'd be like, I'm totally down with that because now I know I'm going to read it and I'm going to get it, and then there's not going to be all this friggin' ridiculous 70 years of knowledge. You have to, like, who cares? Like, at this point, it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, I believe that even for someone like Greg who knows Superman in and out, that there are holes in Greg's Superman knowledge because that comic book
100%.
is so old. So imagine. And Greg's really into Superman, Like, I've never met anyone who loves the superhero as much as Greg loves Superman, and he doesn't even know everything about him.
Super
So can you
boring,
imagine?
Connell, pre-new.
Can you imagine the holes in normal people's knowledge about some of these comic books?
Crisis.
They should just treat it with a little more care and
Yeah.
respect, I think. And that's why I still think that, like, with the comic movie craze is indicative that the whole thing's going to crash. Like, it might not happen in a year or two, but it's going to happen. And
I think it's going to happen. And I don't mean the movie thing. I think movies are going to go on for a long, long time to be fine. Comics are going to crash the big two. And I think that's when you'll see Image rise, and then indie creators rise and be able to make do all that, and then Patreon and everything else too. You know what I mean? I sent it to you today. It didn't make the show.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot about that.
No big deal. I thought this was fascinating, and we'll end here. This has nothing to do with comics, but it's a similar thing of what's happening. Maxis just closed down, right? Emeryville, all the SimCity guys. One of their artists just launched a Patreon where he is making buildings for the content creator for City Skylines.
Wow.
He's like, if you support me here, you'll get the DLC I'm building for somebody else's game that's through the fan. You know what I mean? It's like, that's fucking fascinating. And when DC and Marvel do inevitably have trouble and have to hemorrhage out big artists that can't get paid, when this isn't gonna happen, but let's say Jeff Johns left. He's like COO now or whatever. And when he leaves DLC or DC, he'd be able to do something like that and get the books and do different things and have it however he wants it, or just go to Image.
I hope that the bottom does fall out in the sense that hopefully we'll get a little more structure and a kind of a more rigorous approach, because I think these guys think that they can just make mistakes like they're doing with this New 52 thing or whatever, where no one seems to really like this, and they know like, well, we'll just reboot it again. At some point, commit. Yeah. And make it right.
Well, with Convergence or whatever, I'm getting to finally look back at the universe I used to like and see what happened. What is going on with Superman in this?
This is gonna suck, man. And
you're explaining why comics don't do well.
No, I know. Trust me, I know the answer. It's just something I thought was a good topic.
But it is so ironic with the rise of Comic-Con and the movies and stuff like that. Like, it's incredible. They are not congruent with each other at all.
You go to Comic-Con and everyone's over on the entertainment side to get their poster signed by Jason Teague or whatever from Supernatural, and then on the other side where they're selling comics, it's a fucking ghost town.
And you can like it over there.
I do. Oh, I know.
I go buy original art, and I'm like,
you.
And I just want to say real quick, like I've always looked for reasons to get into comics, and it's one of those things that it's just never happened for me.
Dude,
they're in 30 years.
You should really try the latest Batman run, because I think from start to finish where it's not done yet, but like from start to where it's at now, it's excellent and it's awesome.
Court of Owls and everything else. Good. Yeah.
And like you don't need to read any of the other bullshit ones. Like
until Death in the Family.
Do you ever have to read any others?
You don't.
Like, I feel like
because I have not been part of Batman continuity for over a decade, and I started there, and I was like, oh, this is actually really cool.
Yeah.
So
I think it's good because I didn't read any of the spinoff ones.
I agree, and I think, but there will be times when they introduce Dick and Tim and Damian and Red Hood.
There was times where I was like, I don't know who the fuck this is.
But I mean, as somebody who doesn't know any of the backstory too.
No, and I didn't know it either, and I was really confused. I had to call a friend. I'm like, can you explain this?
Yeah, no, I guess it's very
But like, Court of the Owls would be a great one for him. Give him Court of the Owls and just done, because that's just him. That's fine. All right.
Yeah, and I don't know. And just as an aside, like, I cannot wait for Batman versus Superman or whatever that movie's called.
We're gonna see it opening night.
I can't wait to see how nonsensical they are gonna have to spin that story to make those two characters interact with each other in a way that is believable.
They'll change the atmosphere around his head. No big deal.
It's gonna be. You know it's gonna be awesome, Greg. You know it's gonna be like some.
No, I've seen Batman fight Superman for like 32 years.
Has it ever made sense?
Yeah, animated series out there. I'll go show it to you right now.
But how do they explain how a normal human can fight against Superman and have any chance?
He's really
kryptonite.
Rich.
If he doesn't have kryptonite, you can say that he put a bomb on an innocent person, and that if you break through this thing, you'll die.
You know what? Actually, but to your point,
Red
the
Sun.
bigger issue is Green Lantern. That I think does not fit comfortably.
There's multiple ones, right? Or is that the one?
Yeah. There's
well, I'm just saying what that power is supposed to be. Because I remember when I was interviewing Jeff Johns about the fairly modest game that they put out on
Rise of the Manhunters.
Yeah, that's
I platinum that game.
Yeah, me too.
And I was like, so exactly how does it work? Since he can like conjure anything he wants, and well, you have 32 constructs. It's like, he really, it's like, does not work not only in the comics. It's like, well, if he's that powerful, why do we have problems?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And
that's kind of the way I feel. Like
then within a video game, it's like this man is supposed to be like a raw id, unfettered, and you fettered me fairly significantly with 32 constructs.
Yeah. Colin.
Yes.
What's your topic?
This one's a little more in my wheelhouse, I think.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're not picking something that isn't.
Yeah, that would be weird, right? Star Wars.
Okay.
A lot of talk today. Today they talked about. We'll give away when we're filming it, but that they are releasing a canon book after. So Expanded Universe is no longer canon,
right?
But they're going to release a book that is canon that will explain what happened between the end of Jedi when the second Death Star was destroyed and the beginning of Force Awakens Episode 7, which I'm very excited about. I will read that immediately. And because there are already a billion books about what happened after Jedi with Grand Admiral Thrawn and stuff, so I'm interested to see like what ideas, whatever, in there. Gotcha. But anyway, this brought me to a different idea, which was, and it's a more simple idea, and it can be for all 6 movies. We won't limit it only to the good movies. The protagonists, right? So you have Han, Luke, Leia, Obi-Wan, Chewie, Yoda, Lando, 3PO, R2, Anakin. That's probably all of them, right?
No, does Watto not make the cut?
No, Watto definitely doesn't make
Did you say Darth Vader?
Yeah, well, Anakin.
Okay,
Anakin. So that would be, I think, pretty much everyone you would consider like maybe a protagonist at some point in some of them turn into antagonists.
Queen Amidala.
Yeah, Amidala would be one.
Yeah. Qui-Gon Jinn.
And Qui-Gon would be another one. That's true.
And did you say Watto?
Watto.
Yeah, that's the horrible anti-Semitic like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're not thinking of Shylock or Fagin when we made this character. No, please don't look over here.
I knew it was good that your mother wasn't there.
So I was just basically curious. Out of all the protagonists in the trilogy and in the shitty Star Wars movies, what which one would you want to be, and why would you want to be that? Now, we were talking beforehand about this, and Adam brought up a good point that it would be, everyone would probably say Han. And I think
I just changed I changed my mind after I said that. I was like, no, there's someone I would rather be.
But I don't actually really even know the answers. I'm just curious, like, what you guys think, like, what comes to mind first out of these particular characters, who you'd want to be, and why would you want to be that character?
Podcaster announcer.
Pod racer announcer.
Whatever.
Not the podcaster.
You are a podcaster announcer.
Okay, that's good. Well, that's
He's
why
not a protagonist.
You know, you talking about the guy
Okay.
with the 2 heads?
Yeah. He looks like a mutated earthworm Jim.
Mm-hmm.
The wide sports guy. Wow, that's fantastic.
That's him.
Nailed it. You're already there.
Thanks.
You've surpassed yourself.
Okay.
I don't know. My gut instinct says Han, but Han. When you start unpacking Han, his life kind of sucked. Like, he's kind of living with his pet. He's got his ship.
They have a life debt. That's
Smuggles
not-
I
stuff.
wouldn't call him a pet.
Well, you know what I mean. Like, you look at all their lives, and you know, Han is kind of self-destructive in a little ways. Like, I guess I never read
He's a
any of
Humphrey
the
Bogart character. I mean, they kind of tore him out of Casablanca.
He is very tormented. He's
Yeah.
he's the sort of I guess not anti-hero, but he's the dark horse. He's cool. He got Leia, but at the same time, like,
banging Princess Leia, has
yeah,
the cool shit.
I don't know. I mean,
has the
I
best
don't know where
friend.
his life. If it weren't for the books and the expanded universe, I would have been like, that relationship's not going to last, because he's the kind of guy that self-destructs. He takes everything that he had and just destroys it so he can move on and do other stuff.
That's what his earlier years are for. Leia set him straight.
Did
Because
Leia set him
Leia
straight?
was a strong character.
Yeah.
Yeah. I relate to Leia. I'd be Leia.
Now, are we talking, Colin?
You just look in the mirror all the time.
Before I give you my
You
next
just look at
answer,
yourself in the mirror all the
Yeah,
time.
I would.
I need some guidance from you.
Yes.
Now, in the old, I always wanted a lightsaber, which meant I had to be a Jedi.
Right.
Which meant you have to back into this, right? You start with a lightsaber, like, I want to be able to use the Force and have a lightsaber. Mostly
What's
just
your
lightsaber.
metachlorine count?
Over 50.
Okay.
Wait, is it like ACT or SATs?
I think it's
really suck, and the other one's really good.
but the part of the Jedi lore that I could never get behind, pun intended, was the fact that they weren't supposed to have relationships, which basically meant that they were priests. They weren't really supposed to have sexual relations, right?
Which is
they
why
got
everyone
a
thought it was a
lightsaber.
religious order until they ruined that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on.
So I was always conflicted, because I was like, I want the personality of Han and the cavalier nature of Han and the freedom that Han enjoyed, but I want the cool powers that Luke has.
So you want to be Anakin?
Yeah, but then I guess
But the sand's gonna get everywhere.
the sand,
it's
it's
got some
coarse, it
coarse.
flows between your hands and gets in your vagina.
My God.
That was the they rewrote that line actually. On the
They're like,
You're looking at the special.
They're
They're
Oh,
like,
rough
George, well, I
vaginas.
don't know if you want to talk about Queen Amidala's vagina at this particular juncture in the movie.
Have you read that book by Carrie Fisher when she was talking about shooting Star Wars?
no.
And she's like, why don't I have a bra? And Luke says, there's no bras in space. And she's like, what the fuck? Really, that sequence in her book, I think it's Wishful Drinking.
Oh,
It's just,
awesome.
It is so funny.
I actually should read that. I love reading all those old biographies from people that like just are
It's
now
also-
so far gone they
it's-
tell the
it's
truth.
done in her voice.
Yeah.
So you can just hear, yeah.
Her one woman show is really good, by the way. Too.
Is it?
So, yeah, really, really funny.
So going back to the lightsabers, so there's the colors, right? There's blue, green, red, and then the purple for
I was
Samuel
gonna stop.
Jackson.
I want to change my answer and be Mace Windu.
Mace Windu?
Does
Mace
that count?
Windu is not a protagonist. I'm talking about the major.
R2.
Yeah, you're right. You want to be R2? You'd be an astromech droid, I guess. I'm talking specifically about the core characters because I want to be Boba Fett. But I'm not. But he's not. But he's not.
Core. He wasn't core character.
I want to be Lando.
That was
Traitor.
good.
Because he's
Asshole.
cool, but he's a pragmatist.
Yeah, he's
I like the fact
pragmatic.
that he gets to do a cool thing in a cool universe,
Right.
but the threat is not as ever present on him.
Yeah, he really didn't have
He's like,
too much
hold
responsibility.
on. I want some water to run off my back. I'll do
Right.
a little bit of trading here.
Yeah.
And he looks good. He's got gold inlay
Ability.
on his cape.
Oh.
And he's got a.
Okay,
And he's
let's
got
just start with that.
And he's got Lobot with him.
Yeah.
His personal secretary slash sex slave.
Lobot. I thought the Ugnaughts were his. Were his
Who's
sex
the
slave.
guy that had the built-in headphones?
Yeah, Lobot's the one.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah, that's
you could
Lobot.
tell that.
And the Ugnaughts
he
are
was
those
like
little
making that kind of-
horrible 400-year-old looking creatures that are like taking apart 3PO in the basement of Bespin.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of wicked shit if you start thinking about it in Star Wars. But yeah, I can get behind Lando. Here's why. He's like, the hardest thing he had to do the whole time was someone called him up, was like, hey, can you fly the Millennium Falcon real quick for me? He's like, all right. The rest of the time he just coasted, man.
look,
He was just chilling.
Let's be honest. He shows up quite awkwardly at the beginning of Jedi.
Well, he's in.
Oh, yeah.
He's dressed up as a guard.
That is, he's dressed up as a guard. I'm thinking about when they're on the floating platforms. Is he still dressed up as a guard at that point? Then he just kind of
Oh, as a skip guard, yeah. When,
he redeems himself, and then he's just gone.
And then he finds himself in the Falcon.
Yeah.
Which made sense because it was his ship.
Yeah.
But
he wasn't, I mean, come on. Han's the better pilot. We all know this.
Yeah, but Han was on the ground.
Right, which made no sense. Why the hell was Han
and he
leading a ground attack?
Money. I mean, that's the difference. I think in my fantasy life, I would like to be able to handle my finances better. Hence, I want to be Lando.
You want to be Lando. And that's to my point. Han was not good at a lot of things. He was clearly not good at money management. Oh, Jabba the Hutt, a lot of money. For what reason? Well, because he had to dump the cargo, right? He had some shipment that he was running for.
Yeah, it was the drugs or something.
So he's not a good guy. I mean, he's like the modern day equivalent to like a cocaine cowboy. Like he's trying to get all this cocaine into Miami, and he's you miss one load, you're dead.
Yeah, but
Han, not a good life. Yeah, and Escobar's pissed, and then you're like, well, now there's no place I can hide. Escobar owns everything.
But that was the whole idea of Han's character. I think was that like he ran into some old man that he thought he was going to take advantage of him Mos Eisley, and then it ended up being that he got sucked into this whole thing,
right?
Like where he actually started to care about them.
And you know what? Actually, this discussion, this is what made the initial 3 movies so good. Is that yes, there was this grand, big, epic narrative, but there was this far more interesting, down to earth, with the criminality and everything like that. That really kind of kept the characters going. Whereas like you look at the more recent 3, and it's like everyone just seems so small and just this kind of a caricature against this kind of big obvious background.
Well, it's true. They weren't as dimensional, right? They were one note. Like now thinking about it, that's interesting. I've actually up until this point never actually started thinking about the psyche or the flaws of the characters in Star Wars before. You've got the farm boy who grows up innocent and then has the loss of innocence as he has to reconcile the fact that his father is like a mass murderer. And then you've got Han, who is basically, for all intents and purposes, a criminal. He's a smuggler and a criminal and not a very good guy who then has to come to terms with the fact that...
And Obi-Wan's just a fanatic.
And Obi-Wan's some sort of like crazy religious fanatic, right? That's there's a lot of that.
But then, when you look at the original 3, I mean, the idea of the rise and fall, it's like that story's been done quite a bit, Paradise Lost. I mean, you think of all of those, that it didn't have that kind of sub-story that was more original that could bring out characters. Because I've always blamed just like he wrote crappy characters in 1 through 3, but it really could be like he gave no space for characters to emerge because what he was doing was just so sort of mythological and epic that it's a story that sounds better being told after the fact than actually watching it happen and play out in front of you.
Well, that was the thing. I don't know if it was Red Letter Media or another guy was. I think it might have been another guy that was critiquing the prequels, where he was saying like the problem with those movies is that there's no main character. Like if you really think about it, like who is it about? The arc is ultimately about Anakin, but like what is it really about? Because you think the first movie is actually about Qui-Gon. Like there's a lot about Qui, and then they just kill him. And then the second movie is about
God knows what.
Like I don't even know. And then the third movie it becomes more about Anakin, but it's like who is the main character? Because in A New Hope, it's really about Luke and Obi-Wan. And in the second movie, it's about like, well, it's Amidala and Anakin and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and Darth Maul and the Emperor, or at the time Senator. And it's like, who is this about?
Yeah.
And I think that was like the huge, I think one of the major problems that I never really even reconciled in my own head was like, there's a major problem with the structure of the movie.
Well,
like,
also,
not even like
it's
where do I care?
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Is this caring time? Is this caring time?
But also, it's one of the hardest things to do is write a character that is your protagonist that becomes the antagonist in a different story. That's not easy. Very few people can do that. In fact, the only person I can really think of that's really great at doing that is like Martin, George R.R. Martin, like where he'll write a character that starts so innocent and so amazing and turn them into a wicked human being, but you sympathize and you find that thing in you that would have done the exact same thing. That's what he needed to do with Anakin, and that fell so far short that it left you thinking, I mean, it's a flip of a switch. He's evil.
If Vince Gilligan had written episodes 1 through 3, we might have had something very interesting.
That's another great example of it, right? Where Walter White, where you're like, he started off this character started off with great intentions, and then we follow him into this downward spiral. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, and that's where he started going. And we never got that with Anakin. Anakin just literally flips a switch, and that's it. He had a bad dream, and in order not to have that dream become reality, I have to commit mass genocide of all of the Jedis, including the little kids, the young Padawans.
Well, things happen. His mom dies.
Yeah, now what?
She was a slave for... I mean, like... and then she didn't get killed by the Jedis. She was killed by sand people.
Yeah. So?
I'm sorry, Tusken Raiders.
Sorry, Tusken Raiders.
Racism.
No, but I...
Jesus Christ.
That's a slur where they're from in space. Sand
Tatooine?
people. I'm sorry. The S people word you're using. I can't believe
wow. Okay.
I think that anyway. So I think that there's a lack of focus that like pretty much precludes all of the characters, because they even ruin Obi-Wan in those, and ruin Obi-Wan in actually the prequel in the trilogy because of how fucking awful he is in the prequels. The problem is that I'm a little conflicted on it too, because I'd like to be Han Solo. I always wanted to be Han Solo. He's an awesome character, and he's a character that really comes around, which I think is really interesting. Luke is a little too whiny for me, but Luke shows a lot of mettle and courage at the end of Empire, and in the beginning of Jedi, when he walks into Jabba's palace, is the single most badass moment in any of the Star Wars movies, hands down. Like where he like tricks Bib Fortuna and the Gamorrean guards and like gets into Jedi, and he's just fucking there. And he makes no bones about it.
No,
like he doesn't try to hide himself or anything like that. He just walks in. And like that is like, and like really when you think about that moment, it's like, holy shit, this is fucking awesome.
And he does that really clever thing where he then tries to be as badass with Jabba. Jabba's like, no, come on.
Yeah.
I am not going to be this big and sloppy looking and so successful if you can pull that stunt on me. But it just, there was that kind of care and attention, because if he was completely badass in the beginning, then the conflict that happens at the end with the Emperor would be like, well, hold on, why did it transition? It was at least getting you ready. Right. He still wasn't at full potential.
But see, that was why those movies were so good. They had those layers, right? Think about what he was wearing in that scene. He wasn't wearing the traditional robes. He came in mirroring what his dad was wearing, and he came in with ego, and he came in with, I'm a badass. You have to do what I tell you to do. And that was so fucking rad, because even when you're watching this, you're like, you get that sort of sense like he might actually turn toward the dark side because he's got that in him. He's got this sense of like arrogance. He's
getting off on it.
Yeah, he's getting off on it a little bit. And I might be over sensualizing it, but that was a smart choice on the costumer's perspective. When he walks in, what is he wearing? Or the screenwriter's perspective, whoever put that in, he's wearing all black, just like Vader, just like the Senator, just like the Empire, just like all those callbacks. And it's foreshadowing. It was brilliant, man. Also, like a boss taking down that Rancor. Just like a boss, right?
Yeah, he gets captured intentionally too, which is funny because they really could have sprung the trap at that time.
Yeah,
that's another thing that like Lando was there and Leia was already in there, so like they could have actually caused some ruckus there in the beginning. Yeah. And they really don't. They wait. It's so funny like how like I don't know it's not complicated at all really when it comes down to it. Like the story with Boba Fett delivering Han to Jabba and order to appease the Empire and stuff like that's a pretty succinct story, and you actually lose sight of that from the very beginning of Episode 1. And again, like the guys on the internet are always making fun of this, where it's like it's about a trade embargo and politics. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. Like I remember like in the beginning, like, oh, this is interesting, I guess. But when you really think about this storyline, it's like, what are you talking about? Like, why is this so complicated? That's why I always say about why they killed Darth Maul. By not killing Darth Maul until the third movie, which is what they should have done, they could have skipped like half of what happened in the rest of the series. Because Anakin should have fought Darth Maul in the third movie.
Anakin should have killed Darth Maul,
yeah, exactly.
And that should have been him finally coming to power, right? But he should have done what his son didn't do, and he should have killed him.
It's so weird. Like the whole story is complicated for no reason. It's not simple. Like the story, the trilogy story is simple. It's really actually deceivingly simple.
Oh, yeah?
And Boba Fett is probably the biggest wrench in all of it. And even that makes sense. And then when you go back and really, like, tell me what the prequels are about. Like, walk to anyone up and be like, what the fuck happened in this movie? There's some sea people, and there's a planet called Naboo that's being embargoed.
Who has a queen that they elected.
A trade blockade.
I move for a vote of no confidence in the Chancellor.
And there's a senator who's clearly Emperor Palpatine, and a dude with red face paint
who is so powerful, the Senator, the most powerful Sith Lord that's like ever walked the earth, that no one knows. Like Yoda will just be talking to him, not have one inkling that this guy is a bad
Maul's
guy.
really the only one that knows, and his little weird guards with the Russian looking
the red guards or whatever they were.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, those guys were
because they're in Jedi as well.
Yeah. Those are they were the Imperial. Not the
Imperial those guys,
like the emissaries or something.
Yeah,
they released those action figures. Those were like some of the last action figures they ever released in the original Power of the Force.
Like the coolest Legos too.
Yeah, those guys were supposedly like his personal guard, and I'm like, why the shit does he need a personal guard? Like, what is
it? For show. If you have a personal guard, why does it look like it was designed by David Cronenberg?
Yeah,
it's like
they're completely impractical.
I'm not evil or anything.
They can't move their heads.
Cool. I'm not an evil dude or anything like that. I just have a personal guard that looks like molten penis.
Yeah. And where the hell were they when the Emperor was getting thrown off the friggin' balcony?
Yeah, none of the Imperial, like the red guys that were really cool too with the robes, were there. No, like no one was there.
No one was there.
Everyone's trying to get off the Death Star. I mean, I think that's like.
I saw this movie. No, really, I saw this movie. It was 2 movies ago. We gotta go.
We're not doing it. Yeah, I know it's too bad. I mean, like I've said before, and I've said again. I know it'll never happen. It's a pipe dream, but I really wish that Disney would just be like, hey, those the last 3 movies that came out,
I would love to think
they're
that
done.
too.
They're done. They don't exist anymore. We're gonna go back and we're gonna let J.J. Abrams direct one of them, and all the great
We're
up-and-coming
gonna let
directors.
this 10-year-old kid rewrite these movies. Do we know we got a better shot?
I would
keep the same elements too. Keep Darth Maul. Keep Qui-Gon. Just write them as real characters.
How about who's the guy with the 3 arms? And the
General Grievous.
I mean, when I finally saw episode 3, I was like, where the fuck was this the last 5 years? That's cool.
That guy was made to make action figures. I was making fun of that guy so bad at the time, and even on our show where I was like, could you think of like Kenner and Hasbro were like, you got to make this character. Yeah. He's got 4 lightsabers. Yeah. And they rotate.
Yeah. We'll sell them independently.
And they're like, oh, that's brilliant.
Every lightsaber will be $10. Jeez, you have to have all 4.
When I remember when I saw that. I remember like by the time I remember seeing episode 3 in the theater and basically just being like and shaking my head. Like by the time because people like that one the best. I actually personally think episode 1 is the best of the prequels.
No, dude.
But like,
it's not.
But I remember being in an episode. I was in college and I was just like, I remember just being like, oh my god, what is this? This is getting worse and worse, and I actually think they get worse, and like to the point where I'm like, I don't even give a shit anymore about anything that's happening.
I think it's a frivolous pursuit to decide the degree to which one might be better than the other because I think they're all pretty bad.
Yeah,
but I didn't even see 1 and 2 in the theater. Like the minute I heard what happened after episode 1, like my interest just went out the window. And by 3, I was actually living pretty close to, I was near the Grove in L.A., and I didn't have to work full days anymore. I was like, it's 2 in the afternoon. I'll go finally see that movie. And I think it's when Grievous showed up. I was like, I think that's what I used to like about the other movies. There was a sense of fun.
Yeah. I mean, I think they got better. I would disagree with you. I think that the second one was slightly... Well, once they stopped mentioning midichlorians, I think it got a hell of a lot better. And the third one actually...
Then the science was out of it. I didn't like it.
I can't tell if you're kidding anymore.
Nah, I'm kidding.
I know.
It's the midichlorian
you
thing
should save this for the ranking these and debating them is another topic.
We've done that before. I think we have done that.
All I'll say is the midichlorian thing was like such, and that it is basically the midichlorian thing is the only really one of the only reasons that I want them to cancel the continuity of from those movies because that really does ruin everything about the trilogy in the sense that it really was supposed to it really did feel like a religion. And it's not a religion.
It's supposed to be a spirituality. It was supposed to be the life force that flows within all of us. And if you can be in touch with that, some are more in touch with that than others. And then you can do cool shit.
Yeah, those people just have midichlorians. Don't worry, Han's gonna explain this in the.
But here's what I don't get. And
turn on the midichlorian tracker.
I know George Lucas.
He explained why he wanted to do it, right? There was an explanation.
I don't know, but there's got to be a producer that was like, no.
Cultural shift from the 70s. Because so much about Star Wars fits so perfectly in the 70s,
yes.
And then we're in the early 2000s, and it's like, man, I don't go to Est anymore. Let's come up with midichlorians.
Yeah.
Let's explain things away.
No, you're spot on with that, right? We didn't need it. Some things you don't need.
Yeah.
You just don't need them.
Well, it was also, no one said, man, I need to believe in Star Wars.
Yeah. No one said this. You know what Star Wars needs more of? Logic.
Science.
It needs more explanation as to how all these... No, that's not what it's
because
about.
If I needed more explanation, I would have looked for the backstory of every member of the band in the cantina.
Oh, yeah. Well, Colin knows
the blue guy. I was like, okay, what's his... I mean, I saw him kind of as a relation to Zoot in the Muppets. Mm-hmm. They're both kind of blue.
Yeah.
Well, look, if you want
they both correlations.
If you want more science in your science fiction, go watch Star Trek. That's what that series is for. Yeah, or read Isaac Asimov. That's a perfect example. But Star Wars is a space saga. I don't need to know everything about it. Just show me some lightsabers and some cool action, and then maybe make me fall in love with Carrie Fisher at a young age and discover my own body.
Oh, nice.
Fun fact: the place where I live in San Francisco, one of the previous tenants was Eddie Fisher.
Really?
I only found this out because I was getting mail from SAG addressed to an Eddie Fisher, and I know SAG rules well enough. You can't have 2 names. Finally, I went down. And I was like, dude, this mail. And the guy's like, yeah, he lived there. He died there. Wow. I'm like, Princess Leia's dad?
That's crazy.
It's just kind of trippy.
Yeah, that sounds trippy.
Just wanted to share that with
trippy.
You. Yeah.
So to answer your question, Colin, Porkins. Nick.
Yes.
What's your topic?
I gotta find it.
He dies, though.
Yeah, I don't want to live in that world.
I'm sorry.
I don't want to live in that. I thought about being Aunt Beru. Just get it over with. I've had a good life on a moisture farm, now burn me to death.
I was on my phone, by the way, looking for because Lucas did explain not too long ago like why he made it, and I actually read it and I was like, that actually makes sense. And I can't remember what it is.
Well,
like he said something where I'm like,
that much sense in that one aspect of the Dreamers, and then decided, I'm done with sense. Because that bit in episode 3, and that's the only movie I think I saw from beginning to end. When Anakin goes to what's her face?
Amidala, yeah.
Okay. Amidala. And he's like, "You look so beautiful tonight." I'm like, "No, she just got out of the dryer. Like her hair is just
right."
It's just, and I'm like, everyone just gave up. It was just,
I like how that's your go-to. It's not that her giving up the will to live at the end. Because
it's like actually, they wrote the line "You look so good tonight," which would make you think that somebody on set double checked that there was anything that could be construed as being consistent with Anakin's statement, unless he has gone so far to the dark side. His sense of aesthetics has absolutely come out his own ass. I mean, it's just it is one of the most baffling sequences in cinema.
Colin, I'm actually looking at the quote from why George Lucas said he just wanted to explain the metachlorians, and I quote, "Because fuck you."
Oh,
that's what he said.
Okay,
apparently.
fair enough.
In relation to it's an odd quote for him to say, Greg.
I wish I remember. I can't even remember what he said where I read it. And I'm like, oh, it's still dumb, but I guess I understand why you want. It was something. It's something that when you think about it, I was like, oh, okay, well,
all right.
My topic.
Nick. What's your topic?
There you go. My topic, of course, comes from the audience. If you have topics for the show, please tweet at Nick_Scarpino with your topic suggestion, just like Rodney the author did.
Rodney the author
at Rodney the author says, San Francisco has become separated from the mainland and turned into a prison zone. How would you rise to power? So we'll say either escape from New York or escape from L.A. Those are the two. We'll say New York because it was the better. No one wants to be in L.A. New York, Manhattan Island has become a prison zone.
So not San Francisco.
No, well,
why are you changing this?
He gave you literally what he wanted you to.
That's fine. That's fine.
Now you're like it's a movie that you've seen.
Well, that's fine. Okay,
so where's is it the peninsula?
I would say the peninsula.
Right here.
Let's see. Let's include South San Francisco, but not the airport.
Okay. Deal.
It's become separated from it. So let's say there's an earthquake. It breaks off the peninsula and it kind of shifts a little bit.
No one can save us. We're out to sea.
We can't. Yeah, there's just a body of water between us that's unswimmable, and the United States government, in its infinite wisdom, has decided to make it a prison.
God damn.
Just basically throw all the convicts.
Never did that in San Francisco Bay before.
Yeah, no, that sounds crazy.
So we're all stuck here.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got electricity. Let's assume we've got everything that we have at our disposal right now. How do we rise to power in this? Or do we? Or do we just die?
Not, for sure.
But why are we making that assumption? Because if there was a catastrophic earthquake that split San Francisco into an island that then floated into the bay, we would have nothing anymore. We'd be totally cut off. The bridges would also be broken. So so there would be no conduit,
Magneto style,
for anything. No water, no electricity.
Right.
Exactly.
There are big problems.
We're assuming it's a prison.
Okay, that's true. No, it doesn't even. It's just we floated out into the ocean.
Well, we're assuming it's a prison. So by nature of that, the United States government wants to put the prisoners there and keep them alive to some degree, right? Because it's a prison. It's
right, but why would they let it be self-sustaining? What is the point?
Let me read the question.
That's what it says.
We're lost in the weeds.
It says it's separated. So we don't.
Did it say we're a prison?
It's a like Escape from New York. They've done that because
we
don't know what to do. This is all too confusing.
Okay, so it's not. It hasn't broken off. It's just turned.
San
into
Francisco
a prison
has been separated from the mainland and turned into a prison zone. How would you rise to power? I don't know what prison zone is.
He's talking about
we're prisoners.
He's talking about escape from LA. In Escape from LA, there's a big earthquake. It shifts a little bit, and they turn all of LA into a prison. Of
course, as one does.
Right.
So what does it mean? Rise to power in the prison?
Well, yeah, because you now have a new social organization among prisoners and probably various factions within it. Mm-hmm. How do you try to attain some power? Which
we get water.
Bring you some safety.
We get all the water. We get all the bottles of water. Colin has more bottles of water in this house than any human being. Half of them have been drank already, but it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. We have the water. That's what we do. We start selling that for sex and stuff.
Would we pimp out Kevin?
Yes.
For sexual favors for others.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, so I feel like it's just sexual favors are really the goal here.
Is that so that's our currency?
Are we able to still broadcast?
We're not very
on
good
YouTube?
looking people.
Speak for yourself, Nick.
Yes.
All right, then we also have the avenue of like the guy, Stanley Tucci in the Hunger Games. We could be like that. People would like us. We'd be on camera a lot.
Oh, okay. I get that. So we're gonna.
I don't know if that's Stanley Tucci's.
I think let's just not change anything. Let's just keep doing what we're doing.
Vaudevillians. They're going around with
our
version of a straw hat and a cane.
Well, I feel like people will need entertainment in this new post-apocalyptic
I was thinking,
world.
what if we kind of What if we set something up, maybe like Sweeney Todd, but it's, hey, it's that chair that I'm working on, and VR.
Oh, the Roto?
And people get to have, an experience not in the prison.
That's
They're
actually
lost
a really
in
good
that.
idea. Do you have a
We
prototype?
knife them, we take all their stuff, we amass a small fortune.
Holy shit, I like this.
And then we make meat pies out of them.
Yes.
Demon
And we
bar.
sell
So where do the
Demon
sexual
bar.
favors come into play?
You got all the corpses down there.
Well, I mean, you can have your place.
I'm not into that, Greg.
Have you tried it?
Don't knock until you try it. I have not.
What do you got, Nick? You're Mr. Escape from New York.
I mean, my first thought is I don't know why, but I'm not very tough, as it were. I don't think
shadow
we
box.
can't fight. Yeah, but I can't really. I don't think I can fight my way out.
There will always
We're
be
gonna have
someone
to
tougher.
smart.
I
Yeah,
think fighting your way out is a bad idea.
So I figure I'd be like maybe like Eugene from
Walking Dead.
Walking
You
Dead.
know spoilers here? You're gonna spoil stuff.
No, okay, maybe I won't say that.
I haven't seen it all.
Well, maybe I can't. No, I can't say that comment. I think I would
You're a
try
schemer?
to.
What?
I would try to scheme. I would
Yeah.
try to align myself with the most powerful people and
Sure,
tell them that I
sure,
had
sure.
something that they needed, all the while
Like
playing
the water
them off.
and-
So
sexual
you
favors.
be what's his face from Escape from New York, the driver.
Yes, I'd probably be. Is it? What is it? Oh, Harry Dean Stanton.
Is it
Or was
Harry
it
Dean
Ernest
Stanton?
Borgnine? It was Ernest
I think it's
Borgnine.
Ernest Borgnine.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably be that guy, the go-getter, who was then, of course, recast as Steve Buscemi in Escape from LA. It was the exact same movie. It was really weird that they just remade that movie. I was like, I don't understand. It's the exact same movie.
It's like comic books.
It's exactly like comic
It's
books. I don't know. I probably.
It's in L.A.
I don't think I'd last long though. I don't think all of us would. I
No.
don't think we're tough
Oh,
enough.
I'd
I
be
think
fine.
Well, I
Kevin
mean,
would
I
probably
don't-
outlast all of us.
Yeah, it's how tough is it gonna get? It's San Francisco. A lot of techie people here.
Yeah, but are we to assume that they're going to bring prisoners to?
Yes, I think they're going to make
we're
it a
fucked.
prison.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I
yeah,
thought we
yeah.
were just prisoners
we
on
have
the
to deal
island.
with everyone else.
No, we're
Fuck,
done.
so-
It's over.
I wanna be-
and
I
I'd
wanna-
blow my brains out. I don't want to live in that life.
I want to be a mastermind, a criminal mastermind in that.
You wouldn't.
story. How do you know?
I know you. They'd push you over.
You don't think I have the brains?
Yeah, when your Vita battery dies, you're pretty fucked.
Why don't we fool people that there is a way that you can get off, and we pretend to be lawyers offering legal services?
Not a bad idea. And we're cutting
like
their throats
that.
and having sex with their
smart.
bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, or we're having Kevin cut their throats and have sex with their bodies.
No,
We're basically
no.
just going to make Kevin do all these nasty sexual acts.
Okay.
Like,
And then we'll tell him after a year
perverse.
there isn't a prison colony. Meanwhile, he's
I
killed
was
like
wondering
40
why everything
people and had
looked
sex with
normal.
them.
Oh man. I mean, I feel like my first thing to do would be form an alliance with Kevin because he's good at stuff.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
You already
gets
have
things
the
done.
alliance is just there. We know the alliance is there.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess by that I mean just like make sure that everything we've talked about over the years is still cool now
Okay.
that that's actually
Still
a thing.
legit.
I don't think it's like Survivor and like you need to eat a roach or something.
Well,
Actually, I haven't seen Survivor in a decade. Is that what they do on the show?
I can't remember.
All right, welcome to Survivor. Eat this roach. You survived.
You just won Survivor. Good for
Take your flame over there.
Okay, you can make a
watching.
friend. Okay, go make a friend over there and have a roach.
I can't believe that show's actually still on television, isn't it?
I believe
Survivor.
it. CBS.
Oh my
They will
God.
not let anything die. Nothing. Nothing dies on CBS.
They won't let old people who watch CBS die. I mean, that's
Oh, they
because that's
really
their only
don't
way
want
that
them
they
to
can
die.
exist. Like, no, we're really the Tiffany Network. It's you're eternal.
God, that's so true.
It is.
God, I don't know. Yeah, no, I still think I would die. I don't think I would be able to exist. I'm not
I
not smart enough. You would be good.
Nightmares
I would-
really frequently.
Do you?
And
Colin has them, they call them dreams.
It never works out very well.
No.
And it's usually like I'm trying to keep everyone together, and I turn around, I turn back, and everyone's gone. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, great.
Oh,
you know,
fuck.
here
My
are
thing is,
the
Colin and I
zombies.
talk about this a lot on the shows. We want to get guns, and I want to have guns. I want to have my gun just with my bug out bag. Because when everything goes to shit, like for real, and we don't break off obviously and float in the ocean, but when the earthquake happens and we have to walk out of the city, I want to be armed.
Yeah.
I don't want to be fucked with. Just let me walk out to Burlingame. All right, I'm all right. Leave me alone.
The one thing that I don't think they touched on in Escape from LA or Escape from New York, and that they'll that we're missing here is that if there was a catastrophic earthquake that would split San Francisco off into the ocean, we'd have way bigger problems than being split off into the ocean. As in, it would probably be a magnitude 9.5 or 9.7, and we'd be fucking dead. So that's a massive.
This
a
table
massive
would
problem.
protect us.
Every single building it would just crumble in 2 seconds.
So that was L.A. With New York, and I can't remember the setup for Escape from New York, but I just think for some reason
Oh, well, New York's already split off. And
they just decided to turn Manhattan into a
Yeah.
prison, and they
No, because it was there was so much crime.
that
And
what
back
it
then,
was?
there was something interesting about Escape from New York because it was after 70s in New York City.
Yeah, New
where
York
it
was
really was a serious crime problem, and you saw this kind of like insane response to it, where they just walled it off and just called it a prison.
right.
No
I
man's
think the
land,
idea
Batman.
was that Manhattan had decayed so badly that they didn't have to get people out of there. If you were in Manhattan, you were already assumed
Yeah,
to be
you
a
belonged
criminal.
there.
We're just going to build this wall
Yeah,
right
people
here.
forget about that. Like Manhattan in the late 60s, 70s, and in the 80s, up until really Giuliani in 92, was a fucking shithole. Like I think people, and I am from New York, so I'm saying that loud and proud. I don't like if people are offended by it. I am from New York. The New York City was bad.
Yeah.
Like really bad, especially in the 70s and 80s. So it makes sense in that context.
I find it so fascinating that I love movies from the 1970s, but slightly similar time period. Like you watch like French Connection or Dog Day Afternoon or Serpico, then you watch Annie Hall. And it's like, is this the same city? Did anyone like talk to one another? Because, man, you're really confusing me because it's really still the same island from what I can tell.
That's hilarious. That's a really good point.
Yeah, that's really an interesting. That is an intriguing point, actually.
Going back to San Francisco, like if all the people had to fight each other, that'd be really interesting. I wonder who would win.
Oh, I mean that's what we're talking about here, right? So we're cut off from the mainland. We have to fight for resources. We have to fight.
But I mean, like fuck
how
us. Like forget us. Like we know what we would do. We would just kind of go along with it, and whatever happens would happen to us. But then you got there's like
we'd be the Channing Tatum character in the world.
Then there's the Castro
Tenderloin.
Then there's Tenderloin. There's all these like different characters out there. There is North Beach. They're fucked.
There's North Beach.
They're not gonna do much.
North Beach got a lot of meatheads. Pop collars.
They got a lot of thugs.
Yeah,
The Marina's got all the pop collars.
I'll tell you
yeah.
guys.
Marina has the bros.
True.
But it's just like
The bros are gonna die.
I'm putting the bros in the wrong spot.
I feel like
Right?
the Castro
They're-
might win.
And trust me, if there is an earthquake, I know this from '89. Marina, don't worry about Marina.
Yeah, it's done. It's gone. It's all liquefaction. It's going into the ground.
Well, we would be worried about the Marina anyway.
Are you saying the Castro just because it's where all the buff dudes are?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No, and like they're gonna fuck shit up, man.
Yeah. No. I
What about our Sunset and Richmond people? How
The
are we?
Irish and the Russians
Totally
on
fucked.
the Sunset and the Richmond.
I think we'll be all right. I'm gonna be fine.
I think the Richmond and Sunset people would just wall. You guys would shut yourselves in like it was a zombie.
We just have numbers though over here. That's
You
the
have a lot of
thing.
numbers, but like you have to have someone to unite them.
Well, you can walk west and
That's
get a
the thing.
boat.
It's true.
Yeah, we could just
run.
we could just go to the
That's a good
ocean.
strategy. I'm actually in with that. Let's just do
running.
it, guys. Yeah. Because here's the thing. If I heard, okay, the Castro is fighting Chinatown and North Beach and the Tenderloin, I'm like, peace. I'm
Yeah.
out. I'm
Yeah.
not on any of those winning
Slit
teams.
throats and having sex with bodies. We're getting a boat. We'll be back.
I'm like, is Kevin coming with us? No, he's too busy having sex with that body right now. Let him go.
Keep going, Kevin. We're proud of you.
Licking those tongues.
Kevin, you do you.
We'll be back for you soon.
Is this Kevin's reaction to stress, or is this just something latent that just suddenly emerged out of
Yeah, that's the craziest thing is that we don't even tell Kevin to kill people and have sex with bodies. He just does it.
It's an odd conversation at these parties. But like, what's Kevin having sex with? Oh, a body. That's disgusting. Does he do that often? Yes, quite often. Quite often.
Well,
Can't get
in the
him to
last 5 weeks, he just can't seem to help himself.
He really fell off the wagon.
No, but I want to clarify because Greg was saying I have post-apocalyptic dreams. That's not really true. I dream of like Red Dawn was always like the thing where I was like, this would be kind of interesting.
Your fantasy.
Yeah. Like what will happen? What happens? That's why Jericho is so good.
Right.
Because it's like, wow, this actually is somewhat realistic, and this is kind of fucking crazy. And then the country splits into 3, and you're like, what does that look like? That's more of my take on it. It's like that's just interesting, and I don't think that far beyond the pale actually. Or not, I don't want to say beyond the pale, but beyond reason that would happen.
I know I'm screwed though because like I can't play Fallout. I can't play that game. So like
You don't want to be over encumbered.
I can't deal with fixing like we were talking about earlier. I would pick up a pipe and if it broke, I'm like, I don't know how to fix this. I don't know what to do. I don't want to level up. I don't want to resource manage. I don't want to deal with water and like gas and trying to find all these things. Like it's that done. I'm done. I'm out of it.
That's a good way to go.
Can't do it. Or we run. Like I think our best bet is to band together, get a small group of people that are smart, handy, that don't mind having sex with the occasional corpse. And get out. Just go. Just
See,
leave.
that worries me though. That like the best scenario is to run because I'm not good at running.
No, I mean I don't mean run in the traditional
Literally.
sense of marathon. I mean like we make a
Flee?
go of it. We flee
I'd
the
flee.
city. We pack whatever
If I
we
can
need.
skip, I'd be okay.
Greg's
with that.
arsenal of weaponry that he keeps.
I just want one gun.
If I could actively weep and that somehow makes me cover, I think that's how I know it would work out well.
Yeah, just no.
Yeah.
In reality, I'd probably just kill myself right away.
I wouldn't. It's not that
Police always
easy,
make-
dude. It's not that easy. That's why The Road was so good and so realistic was because those people should have killed themselves and the wife did kill herself. But like, whatever. That book came out fucking 10 years ago. But they don't. Like the dad doesn't.
Yeah.
And like I think that was
kill
more.
myself pretty
And that was more of a story. Like that is the most dire, realistic depiction of the end of the world ever. And like they still couldn't bring themselves to kill themselves.
I think I could do it.
I gotta watch that movie.
When we
I
used to
still haven't
when we used to sit around and talk about this, me and
Can't read the
Poe,
book.
about zombie apocalypse and everything else, I would always eventually get to the point where I just kill myself. And he said that really one day what was going to happen is the power was going to go out and I was going to blow my brains out. I'm like, well, this is it.
Yeah, but that would happen like
Lights come on.
Now you can't find it. So where'd it go?
I don't think you would kill yourself though.
The power would go out like within the first few days or something like this, wouldn't it? Like wouldn't?
But I'm saying the joke is that the power just goes out because a transformer's been blown over. I just misinterpreted it as the end of the world.
Yeah, I got you. No, we get that question a lot too, and I think we've actually answered that question, like what would we do in the zombie apocalypse? I think we did that once, but it's worth revisiting at some point, because now that I'm into Walking Dead, I've got all sorts of other ideas of what we could do and how we could survive.
I don't even like that scenario is interesting, but I don't even like it in the sense that it's never going to happen. Man. Like what's more interesting is like what happens in a situation like The Road or in a situation like Jericho. You know, like Jericho 25 Americans.
Jericho, that was the ABC show.
CBS. Yeah.
What CBS?
Yeah.
Skeet Ulrich.
Tiffany Network.
Like when they like that idea was so intriguing because it was like there are 25 nuclear bombs that go off at the same time in the United States. Now what do? You know what I mean? And that was awesome because that was like realistic. Like terrorists just totally destroy the United States. And like that to me was like a show that was awesome. Like this is something you actually, not that this would necessarily happen, but this isn't a zombie apocalypse. This is like real. Mm-hmm. And that was like what was so cool about it.
Yeah.
You know? So I like those kinds of, that's why Red Dawn was cool because that was also a realistic scenario.
There was a day, like I got back from a flight from Japan.
That was Red Dawn was not realistic.
And they had turned off the electricity in my building, so I was tired and I got back and I couldn't turn anything on. I barely made it through that. And I knew that the electricity was going to come back on again.
That day where we didn't have cable leading up to the Super Bowl, Colin was not a happy camper.
One time there wasn't running water for like 4 hours. I had to pee.
You freak out. Like we had storms up here a while back that were they were like El Nino style storms. Remember that? They were like the storm of the century coming, and power went out. Basically, half the city's power went out, and my wife was like, I don't know what to do. Like I can't charge my not from a perspective of like we're totally screwed and panicking. She's just like, I've got nothing to do. I'm idle. I've got no TV, and the only thing she had was her phone, which was fine. She could access stuff on her. She was overreacting, obviously, but she really wanted to read a magazine. She's like, I don't even know how to charge our MacBook Mini's like almost dead. So I had to drive her around in my car and charge the Mac, the iPad in my car, so she wouldn't freak out. But it's weird how much the modern comforts you rely on them, like water and power. Yeah. Like if you don't have them, you're screwed.
And brief sidebar about the rain that we got somehow didn't do anything for the drought.
We didn't really get that much.
No. I mean, but we got so much in volume in those few days, and you think that at least would be like, all right, we're good for a little while. And they're like, no, you have less than a year of water left.
Yeah, that's
well, the other thing is it was a warmer rain because it was a Pineapple Express. So what it ends up doing is it melts the snowpack. And so you still have runoff that still makes it out to the ocean. So you're not. We're supposed to have cold, and you get a snowpack in, and then we have a little bit of water, and then it melts.
Right.
And I want
to. The rest of the
we
year.
should talk about that next in a few weeks or in a few months because we are California
years worth of water left.
Like California might be like seriously kind of fucked. And I was talking to Greg about it, where I was like, it's interesting. For somehow we don't have desalinization plants all up and down the coast, which makes no fucking sense. But apart from like we have all of this coastline, we shouldn't have to worry about this at all.
Yeah,
you know,
there was a really
we
big
own half the coast of the United States
back in the 90s, I think, and Santa Barbara for some reason was like inordinately impacted by it. And I remember everyone thought, okay, let's have some desalinization plants. I know it's really expensive, but like no one did anything with it. And it's like there's water right there. It just has salt in it.
Let's just buy it from Colorado instead.
And someone was saying like, well, the water that goes back into the ocean is twice as salty when and it's like, dude, we're out of water. Do you think I'm worried about more salty water going into the ocean? Let's worry about the first thing that happens here, which is we're all gonna be dead.
It'll be easier to surf.
Go read Rime of the Ancient Mariner when they can't get the winds and then they start drinking the seawater. It gets worse at that point.
Yeah. No, it's true. That's very interesting. I never understood why they wouldn't do that.
I love this topic just because I was talking to Greg about it. I was talking to my dad about it too. Like this is going to be a disaster if we don't have significant rain for so many reasons. Because first of all, if you're not growing wheat or corn or eating wheat or corn or certain things, everything's grown here. So like the first thing that's going to fall is all of the agriculture in the Central Valley. There's gonna be no oranges, no almonds, no lemons, no limes, nothing.
No avocado.
And that's going to affect all of these markets around the United States. Then, and this is what I brought to you, Greg, where I was like, what if this drought? Because they're saying this might be a decades-long drought that we're in the middle of. That started in like 2003, and California has not experienced it since it's been settled. So like, what if there just is no water for 50 years, and then people can't realistically live here anymore, and then everyone has to go east, and then it creates all of this strain and stress. This is a pretty catastrophic problem, which is why I think they're actually not talking about it, because they're like, this is actually bad and we can't control it. You know, it doesn't matter how much you ration it, because if it's not going to rain like we can ration and get 2 years out of it.
People are now, because the drilling of wells is really unregulated, which I was astonished to hear about. But the wells that are being dug now are hitting water tables that are 30,000 years old. Like, you're talking Paleolithic water is what's being pulled up out of the ground. Like, we have depleted everything else that's sitting below us. Yeah, I heard that on the radio, and that was like I wish this was my apocalyptic dream rather than I just heard this is a fact while laying in bed.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, I just got scared, and I was like, I'm not going to get out of bed today.
We're staying in here.
And I was like, maybe I'll play a video game. I'm like, why? It's over. It's over.
That's why I'm so excited that I'm the only one in my family like anywhere near California. Like everyone's still in New York. So if the shit goes, I'm just like, I'm going home. Then we have plenty of water on Long Island. We'll be fine.
What do planes run on? Water.
Yeah,
not going anywhere.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. But yeah, we should definitely unpack that more in the future because there's like all these. I was reading a lot. Like all these crazy unintended consequences of what happens here.
Yeah,
you know, and like that we might be on the brink of something pretty serious. Because like I was saying, like if it's a 50 years drought or something like that, and we just were like, oh, we have to save water, and then we just drink half as much water, then we have 2 years worth of water. It doesn't matter. Yeah, you know, like we
have reached that point where.
Yeah, I mean the scary thought behind it, right, is that this is the change. That is, there's no reversing, right? Like it's not raining. It hasn't rained. It's been a bad 3-4 years so far where it's not really raining that much, and that's not necessarily something we can fix. So that's the trippier thing. Is like, what happens if we can't fix it?
Desalinization plants, man.
If we totally screwed ourselves over with, because there was another story that I read the other day where the polar ice caps are melting so fast that now Russia is trying to claim they're getting to land masses. They're like, oh, we can get there now.
Oh yeah. The entire northern pass.
Yeah. They're like
Canada and Russia. One of those likely wars will be Canada and Russia over all the oil that they're just.
Yeah, there's crazy amounts of oil up there. It's gonna be really interesting.
You know, we should start though as one of those iceberg towing companies. That's what we should do. We should give up this gig and go get big boats and just tow the icebergs back and thaw them out.
That's a great idea. That's a really fantastic idea. Yeah, I'm interested to see how this all.
I don't know if I'm serious.
It's like Armageddon, but stupid.
I'm interested to see how this all plays out, man. Because I really think that this is a problem that is not going to be limited to California. Everyone is going to feel the effects of this.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start buying more water from other states because we get most of our water. We don't even get most of our water from California, right? Doesn't it come from Colorado?
Well, it comes from like Hetch Hetchy and all these kinds of different places. The big problem is if I was Jerry Brown and I was the Senate and the Congress and or just the legislature in California, I'd be like, we are building 50 desalinization plants now.
Yeah.
You know, like
still gonna take too long.
I know, but like if you start because there's one in San Diego that they're building and a few other places that are gonna be ready that they just started. They'll be ready in 2016, and it's like we're dumping all of our money into this. Like we must build these. You know,
there's that one other technique which they are trying out some other places that people get too freaked out when they hear what it is. Wastewater can actually be completely purified so that it's fully, it's just completely potable. And then you're just recycling around the same stuff. But you've got to chill people out. Maybe it'll become enough of a crisis. Like, no.
Drink your poop water.
We're going to drink some poop water. It's just you'll never know any better because it's going to taste like water. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm down. I'll
drink your poop. Tim, I'll drink your poop water.
And that can be done a hell of a lot faster than, I think, a desalinization plant.
Probably, yeah, hopefully we figure something out. We have not much time. Cheryl was bringing up a good point, too. She's like, why is no one talking about this? Like, there's, like, no official word about it. It's like, it's... Like, maybe someone should, like, say something at some point.
Yeah,
like,
1 year. We've got 1 year until the end of the world, basically.
Maybe I should come back and visit 6 months from now.
Right before you leave. Right before you move out.
Bags. I'm out of here, guys.
See ya. It's been a pleasure.
Cheerio.
It's snowy.
The only good news about this is if California goes belly up, then we can put Kind of Funny in New York, and I finally get what I want. Be perfect.
We're going to the middle of the country if that happens. Ladies and gentlemen,
we'll just continue. We'll move to Austin where it's even hotter with less water.
Go to Columbia, Missouri. There's plenty of snow there and plenty of heat. You'll be happy. Ladies and gentlemen, that's another episode of the Game Over Greggy Show. If you didn't know, each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table. Each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. You can get the whole show over on patreon.com/kindafunny each and every Friday. But if you don't want to give us any money, you can wait and get it on youtube.com/kindafunny day by day, topic by topic, until we post the entire thing as one big video and one big MP3 on podcast services around the globe that has no water and people are fighting for oil. Follow us on Twitter.
Owen, too much water over there.
Yeah, 7.8. Mm-hmm. Too much water. Mm-hmm. Too little water. Mm-hmm. It's a problem. Mm-hmm. All right. Mm-hmm. Follow us on Twitter. Watch the shows. Go to Twitch.
Go support Adam's Kickstarter.
Yep.
Yes, please.
Roto. ROTO.
ROTO. ROTO. Not Rotor. I almost said rotor.
That's not a good idea.
Go check it out. Go check it out. Go support
Rotors
it.
were kickstarted long times ago. Follow Adam on Twitter, Adam Sessler. It's been up the whole time if you've been doing this. And Adam, thank you so much for coming by.
Oh no, it's my pleasure.
We've taken an entire day from you. We're sorry about that. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, but you know, probably done with it.
What?
I don't know.
Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it's been our pleasure to serve you.